Hey everyone, welcome to the Spring 2015 North American Challenger Series. I'm David Frick-Turley. Alongside me is the Diana to my Leona, Aiden Zyrene Moon. How's it feel to be a heretic?
It feels pretty good right now. My Leona. Everybody quickly tweet all of your My Leona parodies to my Sharoma to Freak. And Iron Stylist too.
Great. Okay. Well, I'm glad you're taking
Just give me some of your time, Leona.
I'm not even going to reference this anymore. Anyway, guys, the Spring 2015 regular season continues with 3 matches today. Up first, we have CLG Black going up against Team Fusion. Then it's TDK against Final 5, and we will round out tonight's broadcast with TSM Darkness facing off with first place enemy Esports. Now, 70% of the season is down, only 3 games left per team. Here's where we stand right now. Enemy Esports is the first team to clinch a playoff spot, and they sit in first place with 6 wins.
And after that, it's a 3-way tie for second among Final 5, TDK, and Team Fusion. CLG Black is in 5th at 2-5, and in last place with only a single victory is TSM Darkness. Now, if TSM Darkness loses today, they will be eliminated from the playoffs and have to re-qualify to return to the Summer Challenger Series.
And of course, guys, we are only moments away from CLG Black and Team Fusion's rematch today. So here's what happened last night when these two squads squared off. Now, of course, we are still on 5.4, by the way, this week, so bans like Lissandra should be no surprise, nor should jungle picks like Nidalee or Lee Sin.
Yeah, there's actually a couple interesting bans in this, too. We saw CLG Black actually ban Alistar and Annie targeting Trance, but they did pick up the Scion, but it didn't go to Trance, who's the Scion support. It went up to Chunky Fresh in the top lane, and it made for this very tanky front line that also had poke and engage all around, so very well-rounded comp here from Fusion.
Yeah, Trance still got an engage support all the same, in the, with all that. And of course, on the side of CLG Black, they have this really nice sort of disengaging composition. There's no great hard engage, but they can really kind of tool you around the map if they can get these skirmishes. We can see what happens, though, as we get ourselves into the game and whose comp actually went out properly. And it starts off with Lorlo. You know, fresh out of solo queue, joined this team only a couple weeks ago. Not great in lane swaps, gives up first blood here with the gank, and it kind of keeps going this way for a while.
Yeah, they had Niantanso in the top lane to start, and as soon as CLG Black said, throw Stixay to the top lane, they immediately pulled Niantanso back and had him go bottom.
And so Fusion started the game off with a nice couple of kills. It's 4 turrets to 1 right now. Another 4,000 gold lead, which makes team fights pretty easy at this point.
Yeah, they use a lot on Nintendo, but here's the thing. Chunky Fresh gets the backline immediately with his ultimate and hits 3 people with his Q to set up the follow-up from his team.
Stixay actually managed to crit and kill Niantanso, but otherwise really only got 2 auto attacks down the entire fight. And when your AD carry does 0 damage for most of the battle, you tend to win team fights.
And once again, they go very deep to get to this Nidalee. Nintendo has just been causing so much havoc on this map, and that causes a lot of the team to overextend. Stixay out of position at this point. He gets hit again. Chunky Fresh with the Qs hitting the back line and saving his ultimate for the follow-up here.
So just quick cleanup for these guys. Team Fusion, they're looking really good 20 minutes into this one. Couple of cleanup kills, no big deal. 7,000 gold at the end of that fight. So go for the next push. 14-4 in kills, 25-minute game overall. In fact, ends up being the fastest we've had in the Challenger Series. Just some cleanup kills, and you got a 25-minute win.
That's extremely impressive, and you can see Nintendo here. He's 3-0 and ends up being 3-1-13. Spoiler alert, Nintendo dies at the end.
So, didn't affect his KD for this game, but his season KD took a death. Unfortunate there, but you can see just all Fusion all the time. They improved to 4-3 after that game. Great performances from multiple players here. You're seeing Nintendo out-farm his top laner from the jungle. We rarely see Nintendo actually get farm. He was known in the LCS as like high death, low farm to get lanes ahead. Finally seeing him play selfish champions.
It's actually Niantanso.
No, Nintendo out-farmed Chunky Fresh. I'm talking about him getting more gold than his top laner.
More gold, yeah. That was like CS?
No,
not at all. Sometimes that does happen, though. You steal a lot of lane minions. Anyway, Niantanso. The thing with this team, though, is whenever we talk about Niantanso, it's never about his laning phase. It's always about his team fight prowess and being the shot caller of the team, calling those objectives in those rotations. So they just kept him away from the 2-on-2, and they made it so we had free CS for the first 10, 12 minutes of the game, and then they started grouping up for team fights and made it a very quick game for them off of his decisive calls.
Yeah, the game overall just sort of played into Fusion's advantages, and honestly, it's been their strongest victory so far all split. And the thing is, the CLB AD carry Stixay had a feeling this was coming. Before the game, he tweeted this. He says he hacked into Team Fusion's database, and he found out their strats. Good luck tonight, nerds.
Literally anything to be picked
Stixay
against him. And they threw the top laner at him, and I guess it worked.
Yeah, exactly. So, unfortunate their lane swap happened to work out quite nicely, but congrats to Stixay for some very forward-thinking tweets. But so Fusion, okay, they've actually lost every single Tuesday game up until now. The funny thing is they've actually had the hardest schedule of any team in the Challenger Series. Now they're facing 5th place CLG Black. Next week they face TSM Darkness. Like, the fact that they're 4-3 is actually testament to how good they are. They've played the other teams in the top 4.
Yeah, and they're the only team that's taken a win off of enemy. So they're the team that can actually get that little extra bump because they've gone 1-1 with everybody. But nobody's gone 1-1 with enemy yet.
Yeah, so we'll see how Fusion can do with the rest of their playoff picture. I believe if they win this game here, they're guaranteed a playoff spot. 2-0 CLG Black will make them out of reach. They cannot fall down to 5th here. CLB as well, if they can win this game, they are in control of their playoff destiny. They face another playoff hopeful TDK next week. They win this game, they can 2-0 TDK. CLB are guaranteed a playoff spot. They're at least 4th for them. So both these teams really have control over whether they make playoffs or not, or whether they fall and have to requalify for Challenger by winning here. CLB, though, to improve, though, to win these games, they have to go back to how they were playing 3 weeks ago when they first picked up Lorlo. Find a way to play Riven and competitive. Get him back on Rumble. Get him on something that's more solo QE because he's not adapting well right now to this tank top lane meta. Yeah,
and that comes with like playing with the team a whole lot and actually getting these strategies down where they utilize him because he's an all-in kind of guy.
Yeah,
and he's getting put in situations where he's not one-on-oneing. He's sitting around on a tank, and it's probably a lot because of the lane swap. But if he plays the Riven and it's lane swapped on, it's not as effective. So it's kind of like skirting around that, but he really does need to play something that can carry more often. He seems way more comfortable on those champions, and that's his home, but he's kind of taken out of it right now. So you can see he's very uncomfortable in these situations. Yeah,
so I guess CLB either find the one-on-ones or find a lane swap sort of game plan where you don't sit in the lanes 1v2 and get your top laner to sit there like trying to soak up XP but not getting gold. Find a more aggressive play. Maybe go for a turret push on like a 4v0 or something like that. Things that'll get CLB out of that lane swap game sooner and into the actual fights that they can kind of get there. We'll have to see if that does happen here. Team Fusion looking to finally get a 2-0 week for themselves. I think they are set up to do it, especially with a win that convincing. You'd be surprised if they lost game 2.
Yeah, the fact that they won that game just very decisively, 25 minutes, fastest game of the season, I think it's going to be a little bit more of the same here from Fusion. They seem to be like on an upswing at first. They weren't living up to the hype that they had around them where it was like we're going 1-1 with every team. But like you said, their schedule's kind of been like we start with the hardest teams and we work our way down. So they have TSM Darkness next week. Right now they have CLG Black, so 5th and 6th teams right now.
Yeah, so we'll see if that ends up happening here. I do want to keep my eyes very heavily on the lane swap game and on what Lorlo gets to play here in this game. I think those are the two big factors to see if CLG Black has a chance in this one. Zed away from Huhi, Lissandra away from Easy and Co. Lorlo as well, of course, being a playmaking top laner, would be good to get that away. Trant still pulling those same anti-bans, though, even though his Leona seemed to be just as effective.
Yeah, they really want to keep him off of those engaged champions, but like you said, there's too many engaged supports. So he'll just fall back on Leona, and he had a great Leona game.
And we'll see Rek'Sai now dropped away. Nintendo not allowed that champion either. Nidalee, of course, still up. Nintendo had a great performance on that champion last time, but CLG Black could always first pick that for ThinkCard if they're thinking about pinching junglers. Once again, guys, for those of you just joining us, we are on 5.4 here in Challenger. We will be on 5.5 for the LCS, but because the game started Tuesday, patches have to mature for a certain amount of time before they're allowed to be played in the tournament game. So 5.4, you're not going to see any Sejuani bans.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Oh, well.
I mean, it means she gets played more if people want it, right?
That's true.
Cool with that.
So another support ban, Janna going out, so less disengaged for CLG Black, and there is, in fact, the hover on Nidalee. Not actually very surprised in this one.
ThinkCard on that Nidalee, he can do some work, scout the map. ThinkCard is kind of the reactionary jungler as well. He's not forcing a whole lot of things except for like early first and second bloods. He does pick up a lot of early kills though.
Yeah.
But it's off of pushed lanes and going to them, not forcing too many things. And I want to see that Nidalee, if he's got the accuracy with the spears and if he can help his lanes out.
We'll see if that happens here. Nintendo starting off with a shout out to Azingi with the Karthus hover. We'll see what they actually go for on this one, though. Plenty of time for Fusion to make their choices. And now I've got to get back to thinking about what 5.4 champions are, what's important about these guys. And
Sejuani's still a champion.
Yeah, Sejuani's very good, and Nintendo's going to go for that one with only a couple of jungle bans away. And Chunky Fresh going to be maybe back on that Scion that he did so well with last time. Fusion going in.
Yeah, it could be Chunky Fresh on that Scion. It could be Trance because he does play the support Scion. We saw it from him week 1 when he played that. And
yeah, wasn't very good.
It wasn't very good, right? Like, I mean,
but hey, he could try again.
Chunky Fresh is the best Scion player on that team, so.
Provably. It's okay.
Sorry, trans. But Nintendo picking up the Sejuani, I think Sejuani is still a very powerful pick on 5.4, something that's kind of overlooked. And as long as you get to that mid game, that late game, and get over her early game, which is the only problem that she has, is that very early game. She doesn't suffer from clear times. She doesn't suffer from early gank pressure. It's just her dueling. If you pick on her in the jungle, and Nidalee is the perfect champion to do that.
And Nidalee has to really, I think, very carefully balance invading versus farming, because you pretty much can't get behind an item with her. So you misstep like 2-3 times in a row, it takes you a lot to catch back up.
It's a gamble.
Yeah, needing to hit that Rod of Ages timing. So we'll see how much time ThinkCard does spend aggressively in the enemy jungle. Alistar does come through. They seem so set on pushing Trance down, right? Ban the Annie, ban the Alistar last game, pick Alistar this game. I don't know if they're going to keep him down, though. So
they took the Alistar away, even though the Sion is picked, and that's possibly for Trance. But this denies just another support pick if it isn't the support Sion. So, but Leona's still up, right? Like, he still has an aggressive option. And this looks like a team that wants to wombo, that wants to get something that's going to help them engage. So you have more options to start the fight, and it isn't just on Nintendo or Chunky Fresh landing an ultimate.
And you can see how little Fusion seemed to care about getting the Alistar for themselves, being the fact that they picked the Sejuani, a clearly uncontested champion at this point, didn't seem to care. I do want to point out that Alistar did still come through for Lorelo, so they're still keeping him on defensive tanks even. It's not even like the Sion where you can go in and make things happen. Maokai is a fairly reactionary top laner, all said and done, and actually a bad matchup against Sion in the first place. So brings me some pain there. Leona Sivir comes in. Fusion very much about starting their fights off.
Yeah, Maokai Sion, bad matchup for him, but you have to survive it and then get to that point where Sion is becoming a beast, and Maokai, he's more peely, right? Like you said, he's not so much aggressive. He's more of, oh, I'm going to lock somebody up.
He's a defensive tank.
Doing it. So then you look at Sivir and Leona, more forward motion, like you were saying. This is just full engage from Team Fusion. But what they need to do is hit the mid game. So ThinkCard has a lot of options, and with the roaming of ICANN-EU on an Alistar, they can start upsetting the laning phase with these champions.
All right, so last few champions coming in, though. Can the laning phase really be upset here? And of course, keep in mind, Maokai, pretty good jungler overall, so if the lane swap does happen, he can stay in the jungle, get some more farm. Like, you know, if the lane swap happens, the one-on-one, we'll see if that happens here for CLG Black. They can get those kinds of advantages as well. Last few picks, Karthus does come in here, so Xiao Xiao paved the way, and everyone said, you know what, you're right, good champion.
I like it.
Easy gets that. Tristana for Stixxay. All right, so this is actually a very good defensive team. A lot of circles to put down if you come in on them. Maokai, Alistar, Karthus start kind of decaying your team. Yeah,
yesterday we saw Fusion playing hard engage, and then CLG Black playing this team that's like, if you engage on us, we'll punish you a little bit. This is an even more punishing team, though.
It's true.
The fact that Tristana can have somebody just knocked away from the fight, gets very long range later on, and can kite backwards, lots of peeling. Maokai, then you also have Tristana and Alistar.
Yeah.
Keep people away from the Nidalee, and if ThinkCard can get off the ground and actually become a carry for his team, it's going to be very bad for Fusion.
Well, we're going to see how this ends up playing out as LeBlanc came in, which can, of course, easily punish Karthus. I don't think there's much of a chance of Easy getting a really good edge in onto Huhi. Right, highly mobile, dodge all the Skittles, and then life gets painful. Also, if I recall correctly, you can spell shield the back half of a Tristana E of her her explosive charge. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, which means it is not hard for Neon and Trance to win this bot lane match, just because there's no way Tristana deals any damage in it.
Don't know if
the key target.
And like you said, Fusion, they might want the 2-on-2 because Sion is good against Maokai, Tristana is okay against
Sivir survives Trist.
Yeah, right, like Tristana. Yeah, Sivir survives Trist, and that's the thing too. But I mean, Niantanso, he really likes to get out of the laning phase with basically unharassed, so that he can do clear calls. If he gets behind in the laning phase, those are the times that I've seen them really struggle with closing a game out or even getting a lead at that point.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if the laning phase shapes up then well for Team Fusion, or if they manage to lane swap on CLG Black and make it just as painful as last time. But here we go on to the Rift. Game 1 of the night. A secured playoff spot for Fusion if they win. CLG Black, if they lose here, need a bit of a miracle to stay in that running here. A would give them complete control over the playoff destiny. And we're going to see what happens as they start meeting across in the middle of the map. First dodge, Huhi. Good aggressive trinket. And I like how he puts it off to the right. This actually keeps it out of vision range of the turret to guarantee that he gets vision.
And it still fulfills its objective of just getting some vision of the mid lane. We see here, though, The invade, they're going to have to counter on the opposite side. So right now, just a barreling down of this side. So both teams want to see the lane swap coming and want to have some say in it.
All right, so the wards come down. FLICKR can watch the lane assignment down there. Same thing for Chunky Fresh. It's very easy to do the counter engage, get your vision up. No big deal for these guys.
And we'll see in a couple seconds here, depending on how the team's posture, where each laner is actually going to go. And it does look like
Lola's set up for either one.
Yeah, they're still set up for either, but Fusion are going to start in the enemy jungle here on.
Okay, this is cute. So they have the ward coverage to know this buff steal is safe. Their dual lane is staying mid lane.
Ooh, wait. Huh. Okay, they wait. So Fusion.
This is really greedy, but it's going to pay off.
Fusion. They were waiting around, and then they show up a little bit later.
You know, it's
They're
crazy.
Going into the 2-on-2. They
actually, yeah, they had no way of actually really dodging that secondary ward that came down, so they know the 2-on-2 is happening here. But Chunky Fresh is going to get a blue buff, and Tendu's going to get the Gromp really easily. And Fusion start off with a very greedy, very aggressive, but very successful buff. And watch this, Tendu is going to get the easiest blue buff of his life. Nope, Chunky Fresh is going to take it for himself.
That's the beauty of Sion there. Now he has a blue buff in that one-on-one lane against a Maokai for when he comes back. So this is really big because now he has his E, he has permanent harass, he's going to chug through all these potions of his enemy. Granted, Lorlo will have more potions from the Raptor start.
This still just feels pretty happy. Chunky Fresh with a flask really isn't going to be pushed around like ever. He gets to spam E. And I think his mana just regenerates even if he presses E on cooldown. Then Tender did an easy spot. I just really like Fusion's start here. And again, I don't think the Eastern blue buff will ever have a chance to be stolen by FLICKR because I want to say Fusion's dual lane could keep pressure.
They can keep the pressure up, but right now, at this low level, it's all about who gets those creeps first. Like right now, Stixxay hit level 2 before Niantanso, so Niantanso has to back up and respect that Headbutt Pulverize is an option, that Stixxay can jump in, all these different things. So right now, they're kind of pushed away from this farm on that Sivir.
Ooh, nice double knockup right there. Niantanso taking a good bit of damage. Niantanso will pop Spell Shield. Yep, blocks the damage nice and easy, so that is how it works after all. Stixxay getting hit really hard, though the Ignite was popped on him as well. And the thing is, FLICKR just now realizes that his buff got taken away. He just revealed it.
Yep.
The entire time CLB was operating under the expectation that Nintendo started top side of the jungle.
Well, here's the thing, is they saw Sion had a blue buff.
Yeah.
You're assuming that Sejuani gave the blue buff away is kind of strange.
No, you're right. I forgot about the fact that they could see the blue buff and they could actually expect that it got stolen. I'm actually backwards in that one. So,
but it's one of those things where you would think about it and you'd be like, oh, maybe Sion did start there. But
yeah, there's a good chance without vision, you're like, oh, darn, they got their jungle invade. Well played.
But here's the thing, right?
You don't know.
You don't know, and also since the bottom lane showed up a little late.
No, because there were some wards over by like Gromp that saw that jungle was not started.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I just remembered all the wards I saw.
That's actually true. But like, there's always the possibility that they had walked around.
There's always a chance
with the Sion. Like, they wasn't able to see what was going on at the blue buff. They just saw the bottom lane walk up a little late, possibly throw some pop shots after they were past the vision. But yes, overall, it is one of those things. But here he knows that there's a scuttler up.
Yep.
And he's just going to do that.
Okay, so FLICKR managed to get both scuttlers. So even though his CS looks very low, those are 65 or 80 gold scuttlers. Respectively, it takes them down. So a lot of money in for FLICKR so far. Pretty safe jungle clears. Got to clear his own wolves and whatnot. So still some money coming in to this Nidalee.
Yeah, you really do want that early blue buff, though, on the Nidalee. And it gets you those early ganks and makes it so that you don't have to take that first back so early.
And we'll see what happens with the Rangers Trailblazer there. FLICKR also with the Raptor buff.
But that's even better.
Vision.
It's even better for Fusion, because then they avoid those early Nidalee ganks. That would be the big problem for Fusion, because they just want to get to mid-game. Mid-game LeBlanc, Engage Team, Sejuani, like all these champions thrive past the early game. But that's true, too, for CLG Black, right? You have the Nidalee who scales extremely well. You have the Karthus, who's not going to have early pressure, and who really just turns online level 13, level 16. And does an immense amount of damage that is so hard to avoid.
The one thing that will help them at least a little bit, though, is the fact that as soon as he gets 6, at least he has cross-map pressure. So if CLG Black do find a good lane, and by the way, this laning phase is going much better than the last one.
Yes.
You know, have a chance of making some good plays here. Lurlo actually getting a nice trade on Chunky Fresh. Again, Karthus not far from 6. And ThinkCard's here as well. Doesn't land the hunt just yet. Good. Okay, forces the flash.
And that's enough for them in this top lane. Look, because Lurlo, he keeps that pressure on. He's burned through all of his potions. The blue buff is gone from Chunky Fresh. Chunky Fresh has no flash. There's a lot of pressure that can be applied to this top lane. And repeat visits could be possible from ThinkCard. There's only a pink ward down there. He'd have to go clear that and then come through. But right now, the Scion wants to apply pressure, right? Because it's a winning matchup for him.
Oh, wow. Stop the recall, too. That was a really good read by Chunky Fresh. So the blue buff only really results in like a 6-7 CS lead. Not as bad as I would have thought for how rough I thought that match was going to be. But he's going to stay safe. Huhi not very far ahead of Easy just yet. And again, Karthus being level 6 means he can help another gank if it happens. Chunky Fresh, though, with ult means even without flash, you can get away from ganks pretty easily.
This is where the CS advantage comes into play for the top lane. So, we'll talk about that in a second, though.
Nice little knock up on a trance, but it's Leona with rank 3W, not going to take really any meaningful damage. And it's interesting. Leona doesn't take any damage, but of course Kenny can heal everyone back up. So it's really hard for something like good to happen in this lane for either team, really.
Yeah, it's hard to get a foothold, but you do see Stixxay is a little bit up in CS. And going back to the top lane CS point, there's a 13 CS difference between these top laners. And Chunky Fresh got the better back. Lurlo didn't want to TP, so he decided to walk all the way back to lane and then allowed this advantage to manifest. Yeah.
So interesting. TP up for both these guys. Good recall for Chunky Fresh and a lot of gold coming in towards him. Cowl will keep him safe, but as will Catalyst on the other side. Huhi out of mana in the mid lane means he's got really nothing else he can do. The wave clear is now pretty garbage for him. He's got enough money easily for a, the
level
first
6
half
from
of Nintendo. Ulti gonna land the slow, Easy gonna die to the ignite. Nicely done by Fusion, they finally get that kill.
Huhi barely had any mana there, and ThinkCard trying to get in range, trying to get the heal off, trying to make it so that Easy can survive. Easy still has his exhaust, but it's just those long range damage just to finish him off because he was getting poked down slowly but surely.
And a pink ward kill, but no buff attempt here by Nintendo. Gonna allow ThinkCard to grab his own red buff. So the farm game's still happening, but we're seeing the first gank by each jungler having very different results.
Yeah, one resulting in a flash that hasn't been capitalized on, and the other one
first blood. For the mid laner, no less.
Yes.
So LeBlanc, now she can afford Merlinomicon. Now it gets really hard for the catalystless Easy.
Yeah, Tear and parts of a catalyst.
Crystals.
Nothing that he's going to be able to apply pressure with, but that's natural for our Karthus. Karthus pretty much has to get fed to be in a position where he's applying power, applying pressure before the 18-minute mark, 20-minute mark. The big thing in this top lane, though, that I do want to touch on is although Lurlo had a bad back and he decided to walk it, that's actually the better choice, because if he had TP'd, Chunky Fresh just uses his ultimate to get back to lane faster and saves his own TP for a cross-map play. And by the time he wants to TP, his ultimate might be back up as well.
That's true, which means very scary things can happen. Now, I want to pay attention to this bot lane real quick, because I found a really strange recall by Stixxay. So he was 100 gold short of recalling for BF Pickaxe, and recalls here for like Boots and a Longsword, which means Neon Tonso gets an easy recall, the same item lead, even though there was a 10 CS difference, meaning that Stixxay could have gotten a better recall and then forced Nian to stay if he wanted to match that. Now Nian gets to match that anyway.
Nope.
And it's not even painful. You know, Doran's Blade is just pretty much as good. Like, Nian's actually now going to be faster to Infinity Edge, practically. I don't know. You wait one more wave and Stixxay gets a pickaxe, and I think that's super worth it.
I don't know. I feel like the extra Doran's Blade, like,
I don't love it either.
Is about worth the same, but it's not a pickaxe. It's not going to get him closer to that IE. Unless he's sitting on more gold that he hasn't spent.
Yeah, it's more the fact that he's like hitting Boots and a Longsword that's more expensive than a Doran's, and if you're going to go for that combined, it just feels out of the way, I guess.
Got the Dorans.
Yeah.
Got the Dorans, man.
All right, well, we'll see what happens overall. Neon Tonso back to level 6 with Trance here, so ulti's up for the bottom lanes. I don't know if we're going to see them brawl still, though. The big tanks plus the spell shield, I feel like it's going to be so hard to engage without a jungler. They're going to try anyway. Nice jump by Stixxay.
Kenny basically just doing nothing there, just standing around.
Oof.
Defending Stixxay, who already got out.
Yeah.
Eats a lot of free damage there. He'll heal it up over time.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to take a bad back, especially in this lane. He has no more potions available, so Kenny is really just going off of his mana regen and his Triumphant Roar to keep himself in this lane. So Stixxay, he's in a decent position right now with his items. He has the boots. Maybe he wants to dodge more Zenith Blades. We'll see, but I feel like that is a good choice for him. It's not the pickaxe, but I still think it's good, especially in this matchup. But look at this, ThinkCard.
Engage onto ThinkCard. Nice ulti on top of that one. Nian exhausted, but still wants to join this fight. Chunky Fresh intended show up. There's the kill picked up. Sion shows a bit late and a late TP from Lorlo, but why even join this fight? Oh, because Karthus is here. That's why. Trance goes down. The re-engage, the jump in for Stixxay. Forces Nian to flash away. Looks like that will be a survival, but Huhi is going to show up well before everyone else. And can they pick up more than just the first 2 kills? Jumping over the wall. Lorlo in a pretty bad spot. Nice spell shield! Gets him after all. Lorlo gets the kill, but 3-2 still better for Fusion.
Yeah, Fusion just gets to push the mid lane. You said Karthus is here with the ultimate, but Huhi, LeBlanc was there in person.
Yeah.
So
2 kills in that fight.
Made the difference of the 1 kill. Now they're going to turn towards the Dragon on Fusion's side. So Fusion just spike up to a 1.2k gold lead without having to take any turrets just yet.
All right, there we go. Dragon picked up because it's roughly all they felt like they could get out of that one. Chunky Fresh and Nintendude with... Okay, Nintendude's going to grab this one. Chunky Fresh to recall should match. Oh, nice. ThinkCard going to delay it, and it's going to give Lorlo a bit more time for farming that top lane.
A big part of that fight was the fact that the order of the TPs coming in, and when they get popped. You see here, ThinkCard comes in, and then the TP from Chunky Fresh immediately starts. The TP now starts from Maokai. Chunky Fresh is in, he's in position, he's able to be effective in this fight. Charges the Q. If he had been the later person, it would have been a different fight, because they would have had Maokai there for the pickup at the start. Huhi joining was another big part. Whoever's in attendance and what time they get there. Right now, easy, it's just like, get the free CS, get mid. And it's not worth it at this point. But chasing a LeBlanc is always difficult because they can just turn around on you and say, I'm not actually roaming, I'm coming to kill you.
So good things overall, and a needlessly large rod comes in for Huhi as payment for his nice, friendly help towards his team. A lot of gold coming in. Nintendo now wants to play the Vision game. Already has the Juggernaut enchantment. Again, 5.4 Juggernaut, not Cinderhulk. Double Ruby Crystal, and again, the engage on in. Trying to find a bit more damage. Kenny down to half as well. Ulti's going to land. Forced to Unbreakable will out. Trance now will take some meaningful damage back. Zerg Greasers and Pickaxe making it fairly equal in items.
Lorlo's a little bit ahead in this lane, but Chunky Fresh has completed his Spirit Visage. So he's in a really good spot to deal with this Maokai. And Nintendude is at 100% kill participation at this moment because of his ultimates. He's using them on one person just to get the pick. He's using Sejuani kind of as a pick champion in this early game.
Yeah, but it's working, but the ultis are landing great accuracy so far by Nintendude. I think he's hit 100% of ultimates so far, at least for the damage. I know he only slowed easy the first time, but I guess you can say worth it. Still became a kill.
Well, you can see everybody's heading towards this bottom lane. Nintendude, he wants to go over this wall.
He's going to walk right in the ThinkCard. And you talked about dueling power earlier. Nintendude happy to take this fight for now. Forces ThinkCard out. Well, that's what an item lead will do for you.
Yeah, the 2 Ruby Crystals. Most likely Warmogs. There's a lot of other items, too, that it can build into. But look at this over the wall!
Oh, my God. Down he goes right off the bat. I just feel bad at this point.
Another use of the Sejuani ultimate, just for that little extra damage. Just trying to get that pick. Huhi's still sticking around, though. He doesn't care about this Karthus mid lane. Like, Karthus isn't going to shove turrets down. He'll shove waves down, and then he'll get some damage on the turret via the wave. But they're going to get this bottom turret, and they might get some kills off it, too. There are 4 people here, and they catch Stixxay.
Hardcore dive. Stixxay goes down right off the bat. The counter engage from Karthus gets a good bit of damage down, but not quite enough. Double kill for Niantonso. No kills traded back.
A good turret aggro juggling there and staying right out of the range by the members of Fusion. Up top, though, Chunky Fresh, he's really putting it to Lorlo right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's starting to push him in pretty hard there. Sion, just, again, a much easier matchup there. Catalyst not providing enough regen, while the Spirit Visage certainly is. The early Flask helping a lot as well. Lorlo goes for the early Aegis. He's all about the team fight power. Judging by the fact that he stopped them Catalyst, means he's actually going for Righteous Glory as well, not Rod of Ages. He's trying to be a full team fight tank. And, you know, trying to make that transition out of a solo queue player into a full sort of competitive basically Dyrus-esque top laner. I think that's what Lorla's going for here. And I mean, 1-1-1, best score on his team.
Yeah, when you do go for the Righteous Glory over the Rod of Ages, though, with this team, it's really just for you and the Alistar. The Nidalee, not so big on running it. It will help the Karthus a tiny bit, but I mean, movement speed is just great overall for people. But like moving into this team, that's going to be moving into you.
That's
with
true.
the Sivir ultimate, with the Leona, like all of these champions on Fusion's side want to come into you. The Righteous Glory is like, oh, I'll help you close that gap by running into you.
Let's clash, buddy.
Like the only big part, like the big part of that Righteous Glory form is going to be the slow field for more appeal. But the Rod of Ages is just going to be more magic damage on top of the Nidalee, on top of the Karthus. They are already magic damage stacked at this point.
It's fair.
So right now, both of those items aren't as appealing, and he wants the Aegis so that he doesn't have to get that Rod of Ages early. Because if you get a Rod of Ages, you have to build it early. You have to complete it early, or else it's just not worth it.
Well, speaking of Rod of Ages coming in early, right now ThinkCard is sitting on only a Ruby Crystal. He's nowhere near that item himself. At least EC's getting his stacks up, but there is a lot of time to go for CLG Black. They're already down 4,000 gold from 2 turret kills, thanks to top lane Adder and bottom lane Adder going down. 7 champion kills, thanks to all the team fights in the bot lane. And looks like 2-on-2, maybe not exactly what CLB wanted here, as bot lane's starting to kind of really crumble.
They're not falling apart as quickly, though, as last time, because CLG Black, they ended up in a 25-minute game. We're 17 minutes in. They played the laning phase a little better. It wasn't a lane swap, but so far, the game isn't completely over. They still have this Karthus. They still have ways to start coming back into it.
And they get a little something. Huigo gets a buff steal, or not buff steal, but Raptor steal all the same, and still some deep wards. Fusion turning the screws, and they're focusing on bottom lane.
Yeah. CLG Black have a lot of ways to come back in this game. Like they do have like the Tristana can keep shoving, but the focus of Fusion onto the bottom lane, the mid lane, is because they want to group up. They want to have these mid-game fights with this mid-game team fighting comp. They have so many ways to force the issue that it's a little ridiculous. And now CLG Black, they just have Tristana shoving turrets.
She shoves herself away from Sion in time as well, so I guess she'll survive. And ulti comes in, they catch ThinkCard. A couple ultis burn now, easy the target of attention. That's going to be a quick kill picked up, and Niantanso inside the enemy base, just going for a second one. 2 for 0, mid Adder goes down. Don't even bother casting Requiem. Goodbye Fusion again.
Yep. So many ways to force the issue to get into these fights, and they're going to get a dragon off of this too. Fusion have hit those mid-game spikes at this comp, and they're playing it extraordinarily well. In the end, he made it through the laning phase in phenomenal fashion, 4-1 and 3 at this moment, and he's able to start shoving and taking these team fights over. Intendude still at 100% kill participation on that Sejuani. Didn't have to worry too much about the early game dueling, and instead got a lead over his jungle route, over ThinkCard, put him a little bit behind. Honestly, shut down ThinkCard's really early Nidalee plays, which was what would have been the bane of this Sejuani.
Stakes are looking a bit frisky, gets a bit of damage on his face though. Wanted to keep the red buff from being stolen, not going to happen though. Fusion now up more than 6,000 gold. 2 dragons to their name, Baron's up in a minute if they want it. All 3 outer turrets now gone, just it keeps getting worse and worse.
And remember, if Fusion win this game, they guarantee playoffs.
Yep.
Right. In Challenger, there are 6 teams. Top 4 teams make it to playoffs after the regular season.
Yep.
So right now, NME are the only ones who have a spot in playoffs. Fusion, they're looking ready to join.
They're looking ready to as well. And well, right now, CLG Black, their chances of joining those teams in playoffs getting a bit slimmer. They still have a chance even if they lose this game, but it relies on TDK losing, and then CLG Black 2-0ing them in the week following. Somewhat unlikely scenarios, but we'll still have to see what happens here. Focusing on the game at hand, though, we see Chunky Fresh is still playing aggressively. Gets ThinkCard and just crushes him. Oh, didn't press Q. No, Chunky Fresh doesn't get the kill after all. It was on cooldown. He just tapped it for just a quick bit of burst. The heal kept ThinkCard alive.
Oh, man. It's one of those things where you got to charge it. You got to charge it. But the Nidalee is afraid of the jump out, afraid of him getting away. Oh, man, he just cut that corner. He bent it like Beckham. Great.
Well, Easy's going to be okay in this one for now, but it's just getting worse and worse. Fusion trying to push in their ward lines. No dragon to contest for a little while here, but you can see the southern jungle becoming more and more red as the green wards come in for Fusion. Quick trinket to make sure there's no baits coming on. They're like, nope, this turret's safe after all. Only Alistair right now in range. His turret's going to get down to about half. Maybe more if these teams aren't going to defend it. They're going to stay for this one. Niantanso feels no fear at all. Bottom turret does go down. That's number 4 in this game. 7,000 gold lead. Bot lane cleared. Venom answer suit for Niantanso.
Nian's been having a great game for himself. Nintendude and Huhi, the 3 middle people on the screen. The outer 2, the support, and the top laner, pretty much been doing their own thing. Chunky almost has ultimate again. There we go. As soon as it does.
Ooh, wow. Forcing a flash. These ultis, they're missing sometimes, but they're largely doing really good things. And by the way, Huhi's coming. Stixxay's in a bad spot. Ulti jump, lands the Q, lands the knock-up easily, and jumps right back in. Another kill picked up. Stun on a think card. There's the slow. There's the kill picked up. Fusion find 2 more.
And break Nintendude having 100% kill participation, but they barrel down. They get 2 kills. They start cleaning this up. This might be a Baron.
Could if they wanted. 21.5 minutes in, looking like Fusion are going to finally get their first 2-0 week. CLG Black still so much room before they scale up. Rod of Ages, by the way, still not even like completed for Think Card here. Can you really try to contest? CLB waiting around a little bit.
They can get their tanks in there, but it's really hard to engage on a Sejuani.
And Trance is going to go right on in. 3-man stun from Nintendude. The fight has begun. Easy just wants to get the AoE damage. 4-man knockout from Alistair. They pick off Sivir, and this team's forced to run away now for this one. Fusion 1 for 1. Trance on the wrong side of the map, and Think Card is coming. Lorlo cannot land the W, has to flash for it, knocks back Trance. That'll be a kill. And they're going to get that one to Think Card. So finally, a bit of good things happening here for CLB. A 2 for 1 on the Baron attempt of Fusion.
Yep, exactly. They didn't even get the Baron either on Fusion's side. So right now, that's better for them, but Fusion still have pressure, still have options, still have ward coverage of the key areas that haven't been cleared just yet. They still have all their pink wards out. And Stixxay, he's just trying to get some gold. Leave him alone, Huhi.
Why would you, though? Tristana falling a little bit behind the farm curve. Actually, the single lowest farmed carry lane is the AD carry of CL back.
And that's why Stixxay's feeling this pressure, trying to get back into it. Great ultimate from Nintendude. And Easy, before he dies though, positions himself exactly where he should be. And then they get to Nian, they lock him up, they lock up that Fed carry, and then they catch Trance off on the side. Great positioning by Easy to just break it all up.
Wow.
Whoa, he's still not safe.
Think Card forced to flash away just by hearing Sivir charge and seeing there's a Poro running at me. Time to get away. That is the most fearsome Poro, by the way, I think I've seen in League of Legends in quite some time.
We were talking about Sejuani skins last week with Dark Rider. I'll have to admit, Poro Rider is actually my favorite, but I didn't buy it.
Good job. Good job, Zyrene.
I know. That's just the tongue.
It's so great. It's got a Poro snack for the mace as well. Just
he's got little legs too.
I want it to have like little sound effects, like dum, 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 as it runs across.
Looks like a hamster.
It's not a. It's not a seagull.
No, seagulls are like. Oh!
What was the sound you were making before? No. Yeah. What is that? Yeah.
No, is
that a pigeon?
It's not like a bird. It's like.
It's a dove.
It's a dove?
It's a dove. Yeah, I think it is a dove. You're right.
That's
the way though.
That's like.
Close enough, dude.
That was more like a throaty,
you know what?
a throaty purr.
Oh, shut up.
Like Poros make that sound.
You have no idea what sound Poros make. Prove to me you know what sound they make.
When you threw them in snow.
I can't hear you, though. About to be in a bad spot. Gotta interrupt you because there's death going on in this game. The Poro Rider Sejuani starts the fight. Oh, man! That was a good ultimate. The Solar Flare just destroying CLG Black. Chunky Fresh with the follow-up. 2-man knockup. Lands the Q onto Lorlo as well. 3 quick kills picked up for Fusion. This time, I think Baron's going to be secured.
Yeah, the sound that Poros make right now is Get Wrecked, because that was a great ultimate from both Trance and Nintendude, following up on each other. And then Chunky Fresh on the backside of it, hitting 2 members. And now Stixxay is like, all right, I gotta get something. But he can't, because Huhi is in this area, just sticking around, trying to see if he can actually get something. But this Baron to Fusion, off of that great team fight play, and they're really playing their comp the way that it's meant to be played.
Yeah, exactly. You got to mash everyone together, much like the term fusion would imply. And so far, that's been fusion that's only worked well for the red team. CLG Black still trying to find something to do that's proper there. Locket did get finished on Lorlo, didn't seem to do enough though. I actually do have to say I don't like Easy going for Merc Treads and what's probably an Abyssal Scepter next. like surviving the onslaught of Huhi is a noble goal, but I think you're better off actually having your damage profile matter in this game, whether you get one shot or not, and relying on positioning for it.
And like, here's the thing too, is with Merc Treads, you really don't care too much about
the CC coming in.
Yeah, the CC when you're Karthus.
Yeah.
But anyway, flashes in, boom, boom, at the same time. Both ultimates coming through. So it was actually a layered. So it's one of those things where both were great ultimates.
Whose fault was it?
I'm pretty sure the Sejuani one landed first.
Was it cast first? Probably.
Probably. It's got that fly time.
Officially, Trance sucks. Easy, though, in a really bad spot. Gets rooted up. Solar Flare on top. Yeah, you're going to die for that one. Huhi gets the kill. Merc Treads don't seem to matter for that one.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too, is it doesn't really matter too much with those Merc Treads, especially when you're on Karthus, because you're still dealing damage while you're stunned.
That's true. Stixxay, yeah, a little bit low on health here.
He's a fast guy.
I don't know what he's trying to outplay here, but it's not going to work. He tries to get the minion wave, not going to get much. Chunky Fresh with a solo kill in the top lane. Knocks down the AD carry. Mid lane tier 2 gone as well. Fusion with Baron. We're going to take so much more. Who's going to even stop the inhibitor takedown? I think no one.
27 minutes in this game. Huhi.
Ooh, man. Yeah.
Just looking to push more lanes. They're just going to rotate up to the top. Fusion are now in a mode where they are just playing cleanup. They have a 12K gold lead, 27 minutes into the game. Every dragon, every Baron, just absolute dominance over the map that was established very early on by Nintendo taking out people around the mid lane, near the bottom lane, and setting up the lanes that affect the later parts of the game. Chunky Fresh is just doing his own thing, and it's been working out too.
Just the poke over and over again. Chunky Fresh, yeah, doing great things. 3-1-3, getting the split push down. 229 minions on him, actually.
Shows up at the right time, too.
He does. I gotta say, it's one of the good hallmarks of a tank top laner, because you know you don't want to stay in the lane forever. You don't have that much bully threat. You're there for the team fight power, but they find he's gonna ult in onto Kenny Yu. Who's the bigger tank?
Why is the support clearing the side wave?
I don't even know, dude. But it's not really a good sign. Kenny likely to get run down here by the repeated slows. Red buff's on there as well. He's getting away. I mean, the headbutt's helping. Flash misses the E, but, you know, lands the auto attack. But Pulverize headbutts up again. Gets another Q slow. And by the way, Stixxay's gonna die.
Tick, 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 tick.
Heal, lifesteal. Okay, he got enough.
Got it.
That 3%, actually no, 11% is barely alive.
Chunky Fresh is still going after Thin Card, tanks one for him. Nintendo's here though.
Flashes away from both. Nintendo missing his first Sejuani ultimate, I think, of the game.
Chunky Fresh is unstoppable at this point. The fact that he has a Warmogs on top of his max CDR build is just spells disaster here for CLG Black. They really have no way to deal with this.
Yeah, life's going to be painful. The two gigantic tanks up at the front line. Lock it for Nintendo just to help the team fight in case you do care about the AoE damage coming out from Easy and co.
Yeah, Easy isn't even going to do that much damage at this point. No. He hasn't hit another item past his Rod of Ages. And Thin Card's Nidalee is just going to have these spears tanked at close range by these two tanks, right? She's not going to get that multiplier from the range.
Yeah, the tier's fully stacked, but he's not going for Saros, which is surprising to me because that completion is worth like 120 AP in itself for less than he's going to buy that ability power raw. So strange choices here, but all the same. Bottom lane inhibitor goes down as well. Fusion just able to keep muscling their way forward with the Baron buff. Nothing here to stop them. 15,000 gold lead, 29 minutes in. They're looking for under an hour total game time for a 2-0.
Oh my god. That's actually a really good way to put it. Huhi going in. The ultimates are popped. Still, they're just waiting for them to group up so Nintendo can get a good ultimate or trance. And Chunky with the follow-up. They're just waiting for the minions at this point too. They just want those double super minions.
So mid lane wave's going to show up first. Top and bottom will actually coincide.
So many wards!
15 seconds away. Spam of wards, because why not? There's the next super minion. They're going to be double waves now in the future as well. But looks like Fusion just unwilling to risk it, unwilling to engage into the defensive tanks, the AoE CC, the AoE damage output. Lorlo looks a bit aggressive. Stixxay gets chunked out. This fight does begin, and Huhi might be the first casualty, but Stixxay actually goes down first. He jumped into the Scion Q. 1 for 1. The battle continues. Easy is out of mana. He literally can't do anything until they kill him. So he gets to ult, but no one's taking any damage here. Trance with the shield on takes nothing. There's turret number 1. Here's turret number 2. 4v3. The re-engage comes in. Who's going to stop anyone? Nintendo misses the Q flash, but who cares? It's now time for the Nexus. 30 minutes and 33 seconds in. That's going to be Fusion 2-0 in 55 minutes overall. And Fusion have secured the second playoff spot now in the North American Challenger Series.
And Nintendo having another almost immaculate game, 2-0 and 13. He would have had 0 deaths in the previous game if he didn't dive the fountain, but man, did they look really good in that.
Yeah.
They played it perfectly, despite not being in a lane swap, which seemed to be the weak point of Fusion. Niantonso gets through the early game. They TP, 5-man make a play bottom to set him up, easy shoves mid, and they get nothing for it. And then they just start snowballing that off of plays from Nintendo showing up at the right time in the right lanes, being like, jumping over randomly over a wall. He's like, oh, Think Card's here. And then they collapse
I'm going to win
on
that
him.
fight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he's able to assert his dominance early on this Sejuani and not let the Nidalee get off the ground was really big for the team composition as a whole and allowed them to get into that mid-game, late game just so effectively and so early too.
Yeah, the fact that Nintendo got so far ahead, though, he had 20 CDR, probably like 14 minutes into the game. Juggernaut was worth 10, and Runes and Mastery worth the other 10. So he's just ulting on cooldown. Every time it was up, he'd look for some kind of fight to pick. And with bot lane able to be dived pretty early on, with mid lane just straight up winning with the good play of LeBlanc, and top lane honestly being advantageous as well, he had his pick of the litter. And it just worked every time.
Yeah.
They just coordinated their team so darn well. And that, to me, is really good, that when you have a team that can make these... and the thing is, before 20 minutes in, your plays have to be fabricated.
Yep.
Like, you're not like, oh, we're doing the standard Baron dance, we're doing the standard Dragon dance. We're like, okay, well, Infinity isn't. No, they're choosing to force the engage, choosing to pick a fight in a lane, even though there's no, intrinsic advantage there, like pickaxe versus longsword, honestly, not that huge of a deal. And they're like, no, we're going to fight bot lane, we're going to win the fight bot lane, and you're going to deal with it. And every time Fusion picked the fight, it was the correct fight, they executed it, they even got out through Karthus Requiem. That's the sign of how well they're playing. They're managing the damage output so well, and managing the damage intake so well, that there's no casualties for these fights.
Yeah, and they had the hard engage comp all around. Engage support for Trance, engage for Nintendo, engage for Chunky Fresh. They got to pick their fights that they were starting. And like you said, they always picked the right one. And it was never like, I went in and there's only 3 of us, or I went in and there's only 4 of us instead of the 5th. They were always on the same page.
Yeah.
And that's largely attributed to their shot calling and the fact that Nintendo is in the right places.
Yeah, so you think about Fusion, how well they did. I want to talk a little bit about CLG Black here.
Yes.
So first of all, the playoff picture, they need TDK to lose today, and then CLG Black can 2-0 TDK to get into the playoffs. If neither of those things happen, TDK wins or CLG can't 2-0 TDK next week, CLG Black is out of the playoffs. As far as their play in this game, though, they had the idea to play a more defensive, teamfight-oriented comp. To credit Lorlo, he went 3-1-2. Best performance on his team, survived the lane, showed up well in team fights. Can't hate on that too much, so apologies for calling Lorlo out. Maokai seems to be working, for what that's worth. But CLG Black seems like they're like, okay, well, guys, we're not really getting these mid-game plays that teams like Fusion are. Let's just wait. Let's just scale with Nidalee and Karthus and get the 25-minute team fights. But those never happen.
Yeah, and they never picked on Lorlo. Right? They put him in a one-on-one situation where it wasn't a lane swap. A solo queue player may not have to deal with it all the time. So he got a lane where he's like, okay, maybe I can do something here, but it's a bad matchup for the Maokai.
Yeah.
Still survives it, still keeps up in CS, but then the fact that there was just more effectiveness from Chunky Fresh, just slightly though.
I would actually say by a lot. So to me, it was like Lorlo would get in and he would get that 1 or 2 cleanup kills at the very end of a fight, but Chunky was actively making aggressive moves, right? Again, offensive versus defensive tank. I felt like Lorlo was gifted kills just by being at the back end of a team fight and never being focused, but Chunky was making the plays happen, was actually cashing in the kills for his team, and to me that was a much brighter point on my end. Even
the
though
amount
KD
of pressure that he made was much higher on Chunky Fresh.
That's why I say that. Even though the scoreline doesn't say so or the CS doesn't say so, I just think more happened from Chunky Fresh. Either way, though, grats to 2-0 for Fusion. Well played by these guys. They're in the playoffs. CLG Black need a bit of a miracle, but right now we're going to take a quick break. When we return, a couple of former LCS players will coast to the 2015 Challenger broadcast debut when TDK takes on Final 5. Don't go anywhere. Goes down, the re-engage, the jump in for Stixxay, forces Nian to flash away. Looks like that will be a survival, but Huhi's going to show up well before everyone else. The fight has begun. Easy just wants to get the AoE damage. 4-man Naga from Alistair. They pick off Sivir. Sejuani starts the fight. Oh, man! That was a good ultimate. The solar flare just destroying CLG Black. Chunky Fresh with the follow-up. The fight does begin, and Huhi might be the first casualty, but Styx actually goes down first. He jumped into the Scion Q. 1 for 1. The battle continues. Easy is out of mana. Hey everyone, welcome back to the North American Challenger Series. We are now moments away from Final 5 and TDK's match for tonight. And now, Final 5 actually features Impaler and Sheep, formerly of Team Coast. Here's what happened last night as these teams squared off.
And when you look at these compositions, you look and you're like, Final 5. All right, Rux once again on Rumble. Looks like a really good comp for him. Gate on a split pusher, on something that can assassinate. And Veritas once again on that Grave, something that helps him win lane. And with Sheep, that looks like a really powerful lane on paper.
Yeah, and actually those two ended up doing okay during the game, but on the other side, though, we have TDK, and of course, yes, they're still pulling all these J spans, but what's cool to see is Seraph is still on an individual playmaking, carry top laner. Kez taking a page from realizing how good Sejuani is in 5.5. He's playing Sej, a follow-up engage mid laner, and the typical engage bot lane, Leona Sivir, there to, yep, we're going to go team fight things, and Seraph, go do your thing in the top lane.
Yeah, and with Kyle on the Kennen, even more for the team fight things.
Right.
But we're going to see how that game actually played out.
Starts off You know, we're talking about Sejuani not being able to duel, but Kez happy to fight people right now, but both mid laners have their ultimates, which makes it a pretty explosive battle.
Yeah, she's got some skirmish power. Both junglers not level 6 yet, though, and both mid laners actually pick up the first kills of the game.
Trade back and forth, but Seraph, level 12, absolutely destroying people. Lands the stun. A lot of damage here onto Rux. Doesn't actually dodge himself forward, though, so he could have maybe gotten extra attack on Rux, but here he's like, okay, I can flash E, and down you go.
Yep, the Trinity Force power spike onto Seraph on that Aurelia really knows how to duel on these characters. He starts backing, cancels it, starts his TP, and gets out right as Impaler unburrows.
Yeah, that quarter-second decision-making to keep himself alive. This is actually really cute. So, stuns Gate, spams some Qs. Okay, dodge away. Keep dodging away. I'm by the ghost. Crap. Okay, dodge away again. All right, now into the brush. I need to stun you. Hut! Heal with 2 attacks. Q for more health.
And Gate gives up there because he had used his W.
Yeah, but Veritas gets him anyway.
Yep, the swag
so much effort.
And look at this. Kez tries to start the engage, misses. Kyle zones them off, and everybody's out of this fight, and they ditch Impaler. Rux shows up late when Impaler is already dead, throws down the ultimate. It's a good equalizer, and Kyle is forced off to the left. But right here, Gate ultiing onto Smoothie, the support with only 200 HP, and blowing his own flash was what made this fight go in TDK's favor. You can see TDK's actually down before this fight starts. And this is what got them into the game. Now, Kez, this was a huge fight for them to help them start closing out the game. 5-man Sejuani ultimate there. Veritas is the only person who immediately QSS and runs out of the fight, but Seraph just chases him out even further and makes it so he has nothing to say there.
Swaggle, and here we go. Final 5 looking for a Baron attempt. Maybe they can bring themselves back into the game. Kez goes in for the Baron steal, and TDK gets it. This equalizer doesn't hit basically anything, and it's a pretty easy to fight to mop up now. TDK starting out with a couple of kills, and it's just clean up now for Seraph.
And Kyle flashes into the pit to get the Slicing Maelstrom on that backline that was still trying to do the Baron. Really, really good play there. And then Rux, like you said, his equalizer was basically for Scuttle Crab damage at that point.
And that's going to be a 46-minute Nexus TDK in a very closely fought game. Final 5 did start out well early. The Veritas Sheep lane did pretty okay. 5-3 and 4 on the AD carry. Kyle doesn't get his Jace, but his Kennen sure as hell pretty impressive.
Yeah, and the way that he was helping the follow-up in those fights off of Kez's ultimates is what that Wombo combo was all about. And Rux was not able to deal the damage because Seraph was just so far ahead, keeping him down in that top lane.
Do you want to talk about, though, the 2 new guys to Final 5, of course, Impaler and Sheep. Impaler, plenty of gold on him, 2, 3, and 7, not a bad scoreline, so 3 KDA. Sheep, not bad either. He and Veritas so far have looked okay on Final 5 side. I can't really hate on them, but 4 and 3, you know, they're in this big tie for, I guess, 3rd place now with the win from Fusion. You know, getting up and down in those standings is going to be a big deal.
Yeah, and the fact that this is a new bottom lane, they do have to work on that synergy, and we saw when Sheep was in the LCS, he's a very YOLO player, to use Lustboy's words. He likes to go in, he likes to make these plays. Veritas is kind of like that too. So over time, I see this being a very good bottom lane for them to just take over the game and execute on what Veritas' play style is. Yeah, and especially with you when you consider other players in this game, like Impaler, who wants to play aggressively. He's got actually a very dominant mid laner here in Kyle. No, sorry, in Gate. I was getting my team wrong for some reason, but yeah, like, Gate also tends to be a playmaker, right? Known for like things like Twisted Fate, getting around the map, making aggressive plays. Impaler wants to do that too, and so watching the 2 junglers in this game, Impaler, who wants to be hyper aggressive, Kez, who's much more calculated, right? You saw him play a tank jungler here in this game before it was cool. Right, the hipster Sejuani player right now on 5.4 oftentimes plays a sight stone. That type of style tends to work very well with his team. Yeah, and getting the smite on the Baron at the very end, the comeback sneaky Baron would have been really good there, but it was just capitalized immediately. Sejuani ultimate, jump in, get the smite, then the follow-up from Kennen. So these guys really need to set their teams up because they have a lot of carries on either side, and they might have to take a little bit of a back seat. Because I know that's what Kez likes to do, but Impaler, he's been used to being a carry now in the LCS for a little bit, trying to like pull his weight. Yeah. He doesn't have to do so much here. He just has to facilitate early game. And I think he's the shot caller of this team now. I would expect him to be so. We'll have to talk to them and find out if they can pull up a win here. But overall, we'll see what happens. Now, talk about the rest of this team. TDK have traditionally performed very well playing poke comps, but they're not always getting Nidalee. Yep. They're definitely not getting Jace anymore.
And so they're having to find a new style. So far, actually, it has worked. They took down Final 5. Seraph keeps playing individual champions. He's playing Aurelia. They're now playing team fight comps instead. That's worked overall. TDK rolling with the punches very cleanly.
Yeah, when we saw them playing the Nidalee jungle and the Jace mid and then like the Mundo top, just a really, really good standard poke comp for them.
Yeah.
They were doing amazing. And people were like, okay, let's just ban out the Nidalee, ban out the Jace, and they got nothing left. And it's like, no. We have this Wombo combo team comp that Kez can actually perform on as well. So Kez is actually stepping up as a very well-rounded jungler right now, which is a little surprising considering the way that we've seen him before was just only control, only no aggression, sit back, let the game happen, and just kind of react to stuff. Now he seems to be a little more on top of the ball and on top of the flow of the game and trying to dictate more of it.
All right, well, right off the bat, TDK trying to remove some of the team fight options from Final 5. The same thing happening, though. Final 5, of course, removing the Jace, but they're now killing the Kennen and Lissandra that have shown to be so effective by TDK. Entirely solo lane bans here from Final 5, so Kez gets literally any champion that he wants, and LuiGG and Smoothie nearly get the same thing for themselves. They're the only ones banning bottom lane champions.
I'm trying to think. You could take the early Aurelia for Seraph so he can keep performing plays on it. I know Rux plays Aurelia as well.
Yeah.
But
thing is, I don't feel like Rux would
your top laner
necessarily go for that unless I think there's really this heavy emphasis on winning that solo top lane match. I could see it, to be fair. It could really be something that these teams focus on very heavily. It's weird because
I mean, Nidalee is up too.
Yeah,
right? Like you could go for the first pick Nidalee.
No.
Nope. They go for the Annie for Smoothie. Now this is a champion that Smoothie got his hands on only the first week when they started running, and that was actually a loss for them, where he just kept going in, and he actually was a big part of why they lost that game, was he's just taking advantage of in the bottom lane. And LuiGG and Smoothie is one of the weaker bottom lanes here in Challenger, whereas they're up against Veritas and Sheep, which seem to be coming up and are proven players.
True.
They still have something to prove here on TDK's side.
We'll see if TDK can make a point by 2-0ing here against Final 5. They certainly have 1-0 so far, and if they win, they're back in a tie for second place in the standings in the regular season. We'll see if that can go well for TDK. Final 5 to make their first choices. You don't know much about this one, and it's so hard for me to kind of think about the champ select here because they play just such different styles, these two teams. I can't really say what's going to be important, but Impaler jumping all the way to Lee Sin, any jungler he wants to get a win, says Lee Sin's the champion to do it. Veritas once again on Graves.
It's a champion that he had a lot of success in Challenger on previously when he was climbing up in NA when he first got over here. That's what he was grinding over and over again because he wanted to be the playmaker for his team. And it looks like he's falling into more of that on Final 5.
Well, TDK, though, gets to keep doing more of the same. Hey, you wanted team fights last game? Here's Sejuani again. Here's Annie. Maybe Kennen's gone, but I'm sure there's something else going to work there. I actually wouldn't be surprised if it was solo lane Annie after all to fit with his team composition. You still got things like Leona to follow up, Karma for a speed buff if you really want. The Lucian's odd to me, but still going to be, I think, an okay matchup.
LuiGG just wants to have a champion that he's comfortable on. He's played almost a different champion every game. He's done Draven, Graves, Caitlyn, Varus, Corki, Sivir.
And he had one repeat Graves game.
That's it.
So
this will be his
7 champions in 8 games for LuiGG. Play whatever he feels like, apparently, in this one.
I mean,
sure.
He's up against the Graves, right? It is actually a good matchup. Right? It's the matchup that Forgiven talks about where it's like you pick Graves into most things, and if somebody picks Graves, you pick Lucian. Right?
Okay. Well, hopefully it works out well here for LuiGG. Leon actually gets picked up by Final 5. And Rux is going to get himself a Maokai, so a more defensive, fairly durable team comp for Final 5. Maybe they can withstand the hard engage here from TDK if there's not enough damage follow-up. Actually, that Victor makes a lot of sense. Yep, there we go. If it's not going to be mid lane, and it's going to be mid lane Victor, just find another good mid-range team fighter that has follow-up. And follow-up CC nonetheless. Seraph gets himself a top lane Aurelia. Still going to be fine. I think it's pretty good against Maokai as well. Can't hit on TDK's comp at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to just continually chain stun a team. Annie ulti, Sej ulti, throw in the Victor. And it's a really, really good way to just win a team fight flat out. CC wins team fights. Even if you layer it sometimes, as long as it's multi-person. And then they have Seraph, once again on Aurelia. He had a great showing on that. And I'm a big fan of Seraph playing carries. His Lissandra draws bans, his his other champions as well usually draw bans, but he's very comfortable on the Aurelia, and they're just handing it to him.
Yeah, absolutely are. So, good luck, Rux. You had to expect this matchup coming in. Maokai, the champion, he wants to play into it. And this is the tricky thing about playing a team-fighting top laner versus a split-pushing top laner, and why I like split-pushing top laners with team-fight comps, is you pull the other top laner away. You make them respect the Aurelia, deal with the Aurelia knocking down the turrets, and when you play an engage comp like TDK, they can wait on their engage. If Maokai leaves, hold up. Wait for Aurelia to knock down a turret. Engage when Maokai is gone. Go do those fun things. Gate trying to hold the team together. Goes for Orianna, another good defensive champion if you want to play kind of more of a tanky meat wall. Put the shields up. Shockwave can disengage as well. But, yep, there's actually ways to force the fight. If they do pull Rux in, can they dive in there? Can they start their fight out with like a Flash Maokai or a Solar Flare? There's a chance.
Yeah, and here's the thing, too, that I love about Sejuani is she's not like Jarvan, where you start the engage, you put yourself at risk. You throw out the ultimate, and you're like, it hit multiple people. It could even just be a fake ultimate to get a TP.
Sure.
You can throw it out, stun 4 people under a turret, and then it's like, oh god, you look like you're going to go forward, TP, you're just like, all right, let's back up and wait for it because the cooldown difference. Exactly.
Yeah, well, that's going to be fun. We'll see if that's going to work out well for both these teams, but we're going to find out if adding Sheep and Impaler was enough for a Final 5 victory today. Let us know what you guys think Let us know what you guys think this matchup's going to be. Tweet hashtag TDKWin or hashtag F5win to @LOL Esports. We're going to check the votes in just a few minutes. Both these teams right now tied at 4 and 3. You're looking at very scary teams like Fusion and Enemy Esports in the top half of the table. Getting up there around 2nd and 3rd seed, going to be a lot better than being 4th seed, I think, if these guys are going to try to make their playoff roads go farther than the first round.
Yeah, nobody really wants to go up against Enemy in the first round.
No.
They look like a very dominant team, but at the same time, Fusion is looking stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
Right? They look like they're on the upswing and that they're actually catching like a lot of synergy very recently.
And we'll have to see now as the playoff picture shapes up and as this game shapes up. Now, to note, if TDK wins this game here, CLG Black are out of the playoffs for sure, and we will know what our 4 teams will be. So
we just don't know the order.
We just don't know the order, absolutely. But that's the question, though. CLG Black fans, root for Final 5. Otherwise, you're not going to see your team in the top 4, and they're just going to play for the 5th, 6th seeding, which will determine how their qualifier goes, but that's not for this time right here. We'll see how the regular season shapes up as we get our lane assignments. So far, completely standard battle lines.
Oh, man. If they win, that means CLG and TSM are bottom of Challenger and top of LCS at the same time.
True.
1 and 2 spots for both, 5 and 6 on the other side.
Why not? Well, might be a rough road, but we'll see if those teams can shape up maybe for the summer split. See what happens right now as the teams retreat back into their own jungle, and because of the battle lines, there are no deep wards for either team. They could very easily swap their lanes back, choose to go for a blind pick lane swap. But that will not be the case. Looks like Veritas and Sheep want to tank the Gromp. Louis GG and Smoothie will go top lane after all. And they can actually, they'll be there in time to set up a freeze. Final 5 will definitely not because they're doing Gromp here.
And that's the beauty of battle lines, is nobody gets those deep wards. You don't get to see where the lane swap is, but you also just get to make the blind decision of, all right, are we going to do it? Let's just try it, right? And then it's a blind call.
Oh, this is cute. So Rux is actually giving Gate an early start. Check that. It's going to blow up too, auto Q, and now Gate gets the mid lane lead. Rux is going to do his double jungle thing anyway, noticing there's guys in the top lane. And now Gate's going to get level 2 off the first wave and gets to go harass a short-range mid laner in Kyle. This could be a very good matchup for Gate.
That's the thing with Victor, too, is, like you said, very short range. Takes him a while to actually get off the ground. There's the level 2, and Kyle's going, what?
He's like, what did you steal?
That was off the first wave,
That was off the melees of the first wave.
He, like, kills one caster, and it's like...
Doesn't even need the caster. It's really just 3 melees.
I actually think it should be a little further up.
Well, the question is, yeah, it's not like Sejuani's a great ganker, right?
Yeah, and Sejuani needs level 3 to gank.
It's true, yeah, you start with W. Yeah. It's not like QW didn't do anything. Yeah, WE's like not going to reach anything. So Seraph will TP into this lane. Level 1.7 here. But he started with Equilibrium Strike, so he can't even Blade Surge for better CS. It's going to be pretty rough road. Seraph just getting XP. Gate now starting to harass level 3 for himself. And trying to push in Kyle. Still not afraid of Sejuani whatsoever. Impaler pretty easily able to clear his own jungle. No surprise here. Veritas and Sheep. This actually can build into a freeze, by the way, because the wave met very close to TDK's turret. Their reinforcements come in first. So I want to see what Final 5 does with that bottom lane now. I would actually freeze and make Irelia not get gold. I think it's very hard to push against Annie Irelia. The threat of a follow-up gank from Sejuani off a double CC lane, I think, is really pretty scary.
I don't know what Impaler's doing. He's just getting some deeper wards.
He's protecting the dual lane. He's trying to set up some kind of a dive, I think.
No, he's just looking to get some wards and then back up and get his jungle item and continue his route. Really hard to gank an Irelia. Like, this is a...
This will freeze.
You don't want to dive these guys down bottom, right? Like, this is just... They got to get some CS.
Yeah.
They'll freeze a little bit.
Yeah.
Smoothie will try to clean up whatever he can. And Seraph hopefully gets a lot of that CS.
Well, Seraph at 13 is actually doing better than Rux right now with 11. And Maokai, I think, generally pretty good in one-on-one lanes. So I would expect Rux to do pretty okay here, but we have to see how the matchups actually play out. The wave is pretty much going to stay exactly equal. Both have 3 casters and a melee. And you can see Rux actually kind of forcing Louis GG around a bit. Kyle taking more damage from Gate on top of this one, so
I don't know. I love the fact that they set up Gate for success at the start and just even gave him those little bit of those Raptors, right? Because now he's beating the mid lane. He's 8 CS up at the moment, and he's got an experience advantage. He's hitting these levels early. Gate is a large part of this team's damage, right? Maokai, Lee Sin, Leona. Your damage sources are really just the Orianna and the Graves. Those are your 2 main damage sources. And outside of that, there really isn't much. Impaler's going to get tanky after a tiny bit, but I really like that they're trying to get Gate ahead in this matchup. Because TDK have a ton of damage sources here.
It's true, actually. The Orianna being big, definitely good at exploding fairly squishy members. Irelia being stuck in a lane swap should be pretty low farm. Gate now really bringing it to Kyle down here. Kyle's traditionally been a very, very strong mid laner, but the level lead really helping Gate out. Impaler wants to go for some kind of a dive.
Well,
it's Cleanse Flash versus Ignite.
Well, so they're calling for Sejuani on the other side. He's been behind for a while now, so Kez can actually just come out of this brush, and something's going to happen right now.
There we go. Ignite is on. Kyle does not cleanse it, meaning the damage comes out. There's the flash and cleanse. The Q hits!
Oh!
Impaler gets first blood. He's going to be safe as well. Smites for health. And gets out just barely. Gate walks away with his life. Both summoners down. Kez on the chase. And oh, here comes the Lucian. Hops away. Kez gets a
speed.
Ooh, and the distortion's going to stop Louis GG. So first blood and a clean escape from Final 5.
Very nice play there from Impaler, showing why he wants to be back on that Lee Sin. He wants to make plays.
A lot of damage on a Seraph as well, but a counter stun by Smoothie. And everyone just trying to go for making plays.
Yeah, Impaler using the smite there, also stopping the creep. Doesn't give him life back if it's not used on a jungle creep, though.
Are you sure? I'm almost certain as long as you smite something, you get healed.
Pretty sure it's on jungle creeps.
I want to challenge you on that one. I don't know if I'm right. You are healed. It just says you're just healed as like an extra second. I'm almost certain.
If you read the actual tooltip when you mouse over the Trailblazer.
Casting smite on a monster. You're right. Okay. Huh. I've been smiting waves all this time to get health back, and I always felt like, all right, well, you know what? I guess I'm wrong.
It's 15% of your missing, so you'd like see it shoot up if it was like.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. Well,
but he used it to like stun it, like panic, whatever it might be. But you're gonna see this play once again. Impaler just making a really nice play here over the wall. Gate just barely gets out too. He runs himself out of mana here, and he's basically using Clockwork windup, but Impaler with the immediate jump in. Boom!
Yep. Ward hop, flash E, and then lands the Q on the fadeaway. And Gate had to flash away, but hey, worth it.
Yep.
Now the Dragon attempt from Final 5, their dual lane was bot the whole time. They actually managed to knock down the bottom outer turret during that skirmish as well. And it was very clean. Now in the mid lane, by the way, an attempt for Gate, but Smoothie's here to turn it around. Kyle lives, and Kez is already here to turn Rux kind of to shame. TDK get the first kill on the board finally, but they lose first Dragon and first turret.
And there's nobody to go and answer for Seraph in the top lane right now because of that TP. TP advantage goes over to TDK for the next play. And the just the amount of resources they've funneled into taking Gate out was really big. They knew his flash was down. He was still being aggressive in lane, and it was easy to take advantage of that.
And so far, so good. Seraph just gonna free from the top lane. He didn't bother to teleport in. Didn't need to anyway. You saw Impaler get afraid of counter jungling. For pretty good reason. People were around. Could have stopped him. And the red buff in the south jungle will go over to TDK after all.
Louis GG.
Just in farm duty.
Louis GG is actually doing well in farm. He is up over Veritas for a small time because he had a free lane for himself for a little bit. Veritas will catch that up in just a second here. But the fact that he's even with him, and he's pretty much been on the lower side of CS at 10 for this season. Whereas Veritas is near the higher end of players on that.
Well, Veritas is just going to sit in the lane, though, and get his farm up. We'll see who does better in the mid game then between his Graves and his Lucian.
This is Veritas' third support that he's played with in Challenger. He went from Rule 18 to Kongquan to Sheep now. He's had to constantly deal with different play styles, right? He went from Rule 18, who's generally pretty passive, likes to play Janna, likes to play these types of champions that are going to help and supplement the damage of the carry. Now he's with Sheep.
Yeah.
Who just likes to go in.
Well, you know, I think he's at home, though. Because Veritas spent a while in Australia, which is right by New Zealand, which is known for their sheep. So, you know, I can't imagine it's difficult at all for him. Bit of a stretch? No.
Bit of a you answered your own question?
Of course it wasn't too much of a stretch.
Bit of a stretch? Nah.
I'm just asking the questions everyone else is asking, and they give them the answer everyone else knows. Am I funnier than Aiden?
Helping the people out. I gotcha.
Yeah. No, you know how everyone has like a voice in their head? I'm the voice in everyone's head. I'm everyone's internal monologue. Are you understanding me now? Do you get it?
We're all a little schizophrenic from Freak. You know,
sure.
I don't not see that.
Seraph's knocked around. A red buff is here, trying to jump away. Good stun by Seraph. Keeps Impaler at bay. I can't imagine this dive's going to work, but yeah, just getting some damage down. Rux backs out.
It's the beauty of the Aurelia passive. Gets him that extra tenacity to get out of the Twisted Advance just a little earlier.
Kez, though, seeing that the enemy jungler's top side goes for a blue buff steal. He knows Lee Sin's not around. In fact, he's got Victor with lane pressure to help as well. Great heads-up play by Kez, but actually the W takes the blue anyway. Kyle doesn't manage to kill it with the second half of B.
Look at that, the top lane turret from Final 5 picked up.
I'm glad to see them do that, by the way. I think too rarely do junglers say, we forced him out of lane, let's kill the turret.
Yep.
I'm really glad this happened for Final 5. They actually go into the jungle. They can take Gromp away. They can take Wolves away. They can ward up the jungle while they're there, all with impunity because they saw Seraph's out, and we saw Kyle and Kez on the right-hand side of the map.
And you have to keep applying pressure, though, once you do that. You have to keep it up.
True.
Because you don't want the Victor to keep hitting mid-late game spikes. You don't want the Aurelia to have a free farm lane.
That's what's going to be so tricky is if Kyle keeps up pressure in mid, and it looks like with the upgraded augmented E now, he has a chance of keeping that wave cleared. How do you even get back to Aurelia's lane without being spotted very obviously?
He hasn't been seen. Kez is trying to come in here for a sneaky gank.
Oh, it's going to be dangerous. Veritas, there's a charge on in, gets the stun all the same. Has to flash, has to heal. I don't know if he had to, but he did, and Veritas gets out with losing summoners.
That's actually very interesting to me because Kez doesn't blow his own flash, and instead he Q and ultimates at the same time. So he's just trying to close the distance and the travel time of the R instead of Q flashing to get the knockup and then waiting for the flash and then R'ing afterwards.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to blow his flash. It's just so he can save that for a different gank, for a different moment, and he gets a lot of summoners in response.
Yeah, so another question is what can he do with this momentary cooldown of his ultimate? He got the Kindle Gem for the CDR. They got the Sightstone for the ward control. Of course, both these junglers carrying that item right now. Juggernaut just now done for Kez. He's going to have that tenacity, that extra health. And we'll see what these guys can do now with their completed jungle enchantments. Game still fairly close, 1,400 apart here. Impaler, wow, lands the Q, but no way you follow that one up.
Take it. Every Q. You just gotta take every Q.
Don't you dare.
You take the Q, and then you just W to the minion that's right there just to fake him out.
Just to waste 80 energy.
Yeah.
And put all your stuff on cooldown.
And then the jungler comes out from the bush, and you're like, ah!
They need to ult him away, and then you're fine.
Yeah.
Rux and Seraph trading. Rux actually feels pretty good about this matchup, actually. That ult is a good chunk, and Seraph goes for the counter engage, though. Good bit of damage down, can Q to a minion, doesn't really choose to.
Waiting on their cooldowns here. Rux is actually in a better position by far at this point with the Catalyst.
Wouldn't forgive him.
He can just get some... No. He can just get some HP regen off of gaining a level.
Yeah. And an early Frozen Heart looks like it's going to be in the mix as well, so really hurting Seraph's attack speed. Going to be a nice thing. Kez, 20 seconds before Dragon Spawn, starting to clear out some of the aggressive wards of Final 5. Puts one down, but Sheep clears it back. Now, who can really get the ward control up? Neither team now holds many good aggressive wards for Dragon. Kyle's having a much better time with the wave clear thanks to the blue buff steal they got away from Gate.
So these fights that are going to happen around Dragon are all about the team's positioning coming into them, because both teams capitalize off of poor positioning and grouped up members. You want to approach from multiple angles, but still be ready to form a unit, because you don't want to be grouped up for Sejuani, you don't want to be grouped up for Victor and Annie, you don't want to be grouped up on the opposite side for Orianna and Leona.
And we're seeing that there's not even a contest here from TDK. They don't want this team fight. They couldn't get the vision, and they wanted to leave Seraph on the top lane to get some farm. Now, of course, with the top lane being pushed so hard, it allowed Rux to run across the map and then run back with only losing maybe a wave. Orianna coming over maybe as insurance. Leona certainly is.
They don't have vision of this.
Yeah.
And they see Kez. Kez, oh.
Good soccer ball.
They don't see Leona there yet.
Back. All right, here comes Leona and Impaler's there. Rux just starting out the fight. Can they gain much more? Ulti comes in, but they still manage to start the fight anyway. Seraph, a flash comes in to chase him down from Sheep. They're going to land a bit of CC, and Impaler will, in fact, give Sheep the kill with Ignite. And they finally take that one down, but wow.
Oh.
Gate gets away just in time away from Smoothie.
That ultimate coming down, he had to cast some spells to get his stun up, and then cast the ultimate, because he didn't have the stun prepped at the start of that. Like you can see right now, Smoothie actually has the stun
Yeah,
prepped.
Tibbers wouldn't even have stunned.
Yeah.
Like, Gate could have like straight walked out of that one, but he didn't know that. Give Sheep the kill. Yeah. So, Sheep, cash money in tow. Moby Boots and a Sightstone trying to make the cross-map plays. Did get a kill for himself. So far, so good for the new Final 5 player. Kyle just taking so much poke. Shockwave goes in. Can they get the engage? I doubt it.
Gate didn't have any mana after that. It's just the chunk down at that point. Kyle still has potions, though, and still has a mana bar. Gate's just going to have to regen a little bit. He went for the Athenes, so being low is not that bad, because then as long as nothing's going on, he's going to regen it very quickly.
All right, so back to the square off. Luigi G and Veritas dueling off. A lot of attack damage for both these guys. I actually like the build we've been seeing. It's BF Pickaxe into Zerk Greaves. Because IH is only 20 crit now, you actually delay the item a bit more, and you'd rather have the move speed and attack speed of Zerk Greaves, which is arguably more bang for your buck, more stats per gold there, and I actually really like the build. You delay IH, but it doesn't really matter.
Right now, Rux is just shoving top, going somewhere. Shoving top, going somewhere, right? And you talked about team fight top laners versus split push top laners. He's not having to answer Seraph because he can actually deal with him a little bit in a one-on-one situation and then walk away. Go to a different lane. Veritas up in CS. Gate up in CS. All across the board right now, Final 5 are in really good shape.
And they're going to be in really good shape for another maybe 2 minutes, but Seraph is quickly closing in on that Trinity Force power spike. A bit delayed due to the lane swap. 16, 17 minutes, a bit late for a solo lane Triforce, but he will get there pretty soon. And that's when the matchup, I think, starts to get a little bit easier for Seraph. When you actually start pushing away Rux, not allowing him to wave clear so cleanly. And Final 5 will find their time at running around the map much more limited. But up until Seraph recalls, that won't be the case just yet. But you can see he's recalling on the map. And Trinity Force, dodge.
Cleanse.
Good cleanse. All right, Kyle's safe. Still wave throwing best he can. Starting to go for a bit of CDR himself. Actually, is going for the Merlinomicon build on Victor.
It's one of those things, he went for the Hexcore Mark II already, which is one of those things that people are still figuring out Victor builds. And I feel like once you have your Q on a low enough cooldown, once you're around level 13, then it's okay to drop that 1,000 gold into it. Otherwise, I think it's better to actually just start getting a damage item that's going to give you CDR too, because then that would lower the cooldown of the Q. Then it justifies having that for the movement speed later.
Yeah, well, his Q right now on a 6-second cooldown thanks to his 13.75 CDR. The Phoenix Codex, of course, being part of that. Masteries being the other bit. LuiGG right now just playing the mid lane wave clear duty alongside Kyle's Victor, and TDK just buying time. I think this team really has to play around Seraph right now. Despite being 0-1-0, that Triforce should allow him to make some good plays, especially with Rux going Merc Treads there. MR will mean a little bit against Equilibrium Strike, as will the Tenacity, but I have to see how much it really affects this fight. Seraph, I think, can really put some pressure on the map now.
And he's just going to try to freeze these lanes, make sure that he can hold them.
I actually like that.
As long as possible. Don't shove them out. Unless you're going to make a play, right?
Here's the thing, yeah, Final 5 Siege isn't very strong. They, like, Graves is short-ranged, Oriana's immobile. You have to be so afraid of Sejuani and Victor that sitting still in front of a turret is a really dangerous situation. So, look, the first 2 turrets went down. Good job, Final 5, but what else are you really going to get? Maybe the next dragon in a minute. You're seeing Sheep play for Ward Control to do that.
It's funneled farm.
Maybe a red buff steal. Yeah, exactly. It's funneled farm.
And Rux gets to push the mid lane. He doesn't have to go top. He doesn't have to force the issue. Seraph, though, caught out a little bit.
Wants to show mid, kicked around, rooted up as well. And this team fight for the mid lane, not going to happen at all. Mid lane outer, maybe going to be easily picked up, but LuiGG wave clears while they kill off Seraph. I'm not sure why he went there. You have teleport. You have a perfectly good wave to farm.
He doesn't want to use that teleport. He wants to just walk
What are you going to use it for?
But it's one of those things where that was like a flank play that he was looking for. Because otherwise you would have gone by wolves and down and come through the middle of the lane.
That's
He
true.
was looking to try and make a play onto the backside, but Impaler read that, saw it coming.
He's freezing the wave. They can see him move over. They dive on in. Shockwave will miss. Ruck's not going to get anything for it. Gravity Well gets a 2-man stun. Oh, God. Final 5 lose 2 out of the map, but Smoothie gets re-engaged upon 2 for 2. Overall, his couple members are dead. If you want to count the kill on a Seraph after all, and he finally shows back up with a teleport, knocks down Veritas. TDK turning it back on in the mid-game just like last time.
And Dragon is almost up. It's got 8 seconds on it here. And what was really big there is the Shockwave missed. Gate hit nobody. Gate's the person who has a lot of the gold of this team. The CS is funneled into him. And now TDK, they get to apply pressure to this turret. They get to get this dragon, and they get a foothold in this game. Sheep and Impaler, it'd be really hard to engage, and looks like they're just going to get this turret.
Wow, look at that one. Sheep in the wrong spot. Went too YOLO. His team is dead. Why are you defending the turret with Impaler? It's not going to work. Heavy overstepping by Final 5. Throwing away a bunch of kills and giving control right back now to TDK.
I watched this game yesterday where they were up 3K. Look at that. Missed Shockwave. They walk back into the Victor gravity field, and they pick up 2 key members there. Veritas doing what he can to try and counter these kills, and then Kez and Seraph is back. Then now his TP comes into play, and he's able to flank from the side. Really, it was a 4-on-5, and the whiffed Oriana ultimate, and the fact that Gate went so far up to do it instead of putting the E onto Rux, who was diving, was a big misplay there by the team.
Well, the thing is, I think they expected the Leona stun to land, which is why they engaged. Like, Gate queued expecting Victor to be stunned or something. Wasn't the case at all. Shockwave misses. Everything went badly from there, but rough stuff now. Final 5. Thing is, they can't be discouraged here. Okay, they're down a kill, but guess what? It's 2 dragons to 1. They're winning by that margin. They're up 1,000 gold because of the 2 extra turret kills they have. Final 5 should know they are still ahead in this game. As long as they don't make any major mistakes, they still have the way.
It's always really strange, too, when you have more turrets than the enemy, but the gold is really close. It's actually a terrible situation for the team that has the
turret kills?
The turret kills, because you have to play further up.
That's true. Yeah, you're closer to the enemy base, so their rotations, their recalls are easier and faster.
You have to be a very good team to start executing on that and being like, all right, now we're just going to play the pressure game and do rotations ahead of them. You have to like execute them even cleaner, even faster than just the map advantage and distance between like the 2 points for TDK. So they have to ward up. They're deeper in their jungle. They have to see these things coming, and then they have to siege, which isn't like, it's much easier said than done, right? They have a Victor.
Yeah.
Their wave clear is okay, and Seraph is pretty much going to be just split pushing the entire time. So shoving out those waves is going to be hard.
Well, shoving out top wave, not hard at all. LuiGG pops a Q, pops an ulti, knocks down that turret. Looks like Static Shiv is next for him. A nice high damage build. He's actually getting ahead of Veritas in this one, who's having a hard time. Seraph lands his stun. This is so bad for Veritas, but Seraph doesn't want to stay with Rux coming into the picture. And Seraph chases down.
Seraph didn't actually get the reset off of the minion on his Q.
Oh.
Didn't kill it. Lived with like 10 HP. Oh, Kyle.
Big shockwave, big ulti comes in. They get the kill picked up. Gravity Well onto Sheep, but he's a tanky Leona. All the same, Luigi gets the kill. The kickback. Kez 1 for 1, but support from mid laner ain't bad. And bot lane outer nearly falling. All said and done.
But TDK still able to keep up the defense. The goal is actually getting even closer, just slightly. Kyle picked up Gate in the right position that time, able to get the appropriate shockwave. And this turret, it just lived with a little bit of HP.
You knew it was going down. So good job, Final Five. Get that one in, and they get a little bit more gold for themselves. Tank items will be coming in before too long. Rux, though, delaying Frozen Heart to buy some more health, interestingly enough. Health, of course, a very important stat. I can't be too sad about that. See what else he's able to pick up for himself. But Seraph continuing to scale up. Trinity Force should be able to pick up more items in the near future as Ninja Tabby came in. And now some more health to be a big, nice, friendly, or unfriendly tank.
Try to be a little more unfriendly.
Generally speaking.
The flanking Aurelia. He does have the upgraded green trinket. Hopefully he starts split pushing because that's what he needs to do on that Aurelia. And actually applying pressure and having the wards up and trying to deal with Rux. Like, Rux right now is actually not extremely powerful.
Oh no, he's very weak. I think Seraph is an easy fight.
Seraph has passed him in power fight.
Absolutely. Seraph was held down in a lane swap, but he's now at 171 CS. His mid game has been so much better farmed than Rux's. You're seeing Kez with his Sightstone to put aggressive wards down. So Smoothie, Kez, and Seraph can repeatedly put down 3 wards on the map permanently, provide a lot of vision for the team, not to mention the wards that actually Kyle's buying right now, 2 in his inventory as well. Of course, you expect similar for Final Five, but guess what? Ulti for the slow, Q on in, quick bit of burst, Luigi G will get the kill. Kez got aggro, all said and done. And that is going to be a very easy fight for TDK. And they are now within 300 gold. Bottom outer is gone. They finally cracked that outer turret shell. And actually mid tier 2 could fall, or sorry, bot tier 2 could fall quickly as well.
Impaler's trying to look around for the side flank. You do also have Sheep here, but Luigi G, he's going to have to get out. Luigi G is actually having a really good game. This is one of the better games, probably one of the best games that we've seen him play. Because he's constantly been a weak point on this lineup where you look for Seraph, you look for Kez or Kyle to carry the game. Smoothie and Luigi G don't usually seem to be stars or standouts, but this game they're definitely making a case for it.
You see Seraph just pushing around Rux, trying to get Trinity Force box with the R, land a couple autos when it's relevant, and that's been pretty strong here. Rux forced to get out. Seraph can happily burn his Q for a chase. He knows he's not really going to be in really any danger at all.
It's the maxed E and maxed W there.
Yeah, pretty standard stuff.
Very standard. But the fact that he's also very used to that damage from his Q and how he can kill things. He did kind of misjudged it earlier. But right now, it's all about that split push. The fact that he's trying to get those deeper wards so that he can see people coming to him. I'm actually very surprised that he's not continuing to split push. He must have an item break point. No.
It's just Giant Spell. I think he wants to walk the Dragon. He doesn't want to have to burn Teleport just for the Dragon attempt. He's going to do it to flank now.
There's the TP.
In Final Five, they have to know this is coming right now. They're like, oh crap, we're flanked. Kez starts the fight out. Has to flash out though. Rux will engage, but here comes the counter. Gravity Well, anti-stun comes in. Now where's the AoE? It's coming in right now. Leona's gone. Shockwave maybe to turn it around. 2 for 1 so far, but Luigi G going for the cleanup. Gets Rux. Veritas now in a duel. Who's going to win this battle? The Korean carries, and it's Veritas coming out ahead with the Phantom Dancer build, but Kyle finally cleans one up. Impaler now versus Kyle.
Mano y mano.
Robot versus Blind Monk. Impaler tries to get it, and he does. And that's going to be a nice, serene Dragon kill for him.
No flashes.
What? He couldn't Q? He had energy, I thought. No,
to it? No.
There we go. I think he wins this fight.
He has it up. Oh, we don't even get to see it. Whiffed ulti there from Kez. I heard it because we were watching Seraph, but I wasn't 100% sure, but it hit nobody. And then the Annie, Smoothie, really saving his team's tail in that fight. Now they're on full retreat on Final Five side. Rux just trying to do zone control, keep them away from the carries while Veritas deals damage. But right there, for a couple of seconds, Veritas was not able to output damage. If he had been positioned a little bit further forward, he may have been able to take out Luigi G earlier, but crit, buckshot, crit.
Wow.
Yeah, that was Crit City right there.
That's why you buy Phantom Dancer.
Yep.
You are more likely to crit than not crit with that build. You can't complain luck at that point. Sometimes it works that way. Like, that's the disparity in builds. You get a lot of lightning, you get guaranteed damage. You get a Phantom Dancer, you are likely to get those crit streaks.
Oh, speaking of likely.
Yeah.
Likely to hit it.
Likely to hit that one. Bam! Kyle explodes the poor guy. Veritas, 3, 4, and 3. Not a scoreline you expect for an AD carry, but he keeps getting found in these fights.
Really far up there, alone, as an AD carry.
Yeah.
That was a frontline AD carry play.
Well, now here's Sarah fighting Sheep. Rux in the mix. Impaler cues Baron to make it angry. Kez has to stop following.
Veritas.
Now here's what's interesting, actually. I want to contrast Kyle and Gate, because Gate has repeatedly outlaned Kyle. He's now up 71 minion kills, routinely out farming. But Kyle keeps having better team fights, resulting in their gold being almost identical. They're 700 apart, not a really big change there. Gate with a small lead, actually. But they're still being like really high impact mid laners.
Yeah, they're both doing an extraordinary job this game, and they're both linchpins of the strategies. They're both the highest damage output people on their team, save for possibly AD carries with good positioning. But they are a lot of what happens and what changes the flow of a fight right in the middle of it.
Now, one thing happening here is Veritas is going for Last Whisper. And he used to be a big fan of the item, getting that item third. But he's under so much fire, I think he needs Bloodthirster just to survive and keep his damage output up throughout a fight. Being able to play cleanup.
And Luigi already has that item, the 4, 1, and 6, 34 CS up over Veritas.
That's the risk. Luigi, of course, actually able to get a lot of fights now and successful team fights, a lot of gold coming in. And you're seeing this game actually almost identical to last game, where Final 5 got ahead early. Impaler did some cool things early on. Everyone was kind of holding up. Gate did amazing in the mid lane. But TDK, over and over and over and over again, winning in team fights. And it's not like these guys have to stop team fighting. They've got the split push lead as well with Seraph.
Yeah, they have a lot of options. Right now they control the map. They have all these pink wards down. They have a lot of control over the east side of the map. Final 5, though, they're carrying tons of pink wards. They're ready to wrestle control back, and the game is probably going to take a little bit of a swing here in terms of vision very shortly.
So we'll see who gets the control.
Control
Final
Baron.
5 wants it to be them. Yeah, and they want it to be Baron here. First pink ward goes down, gets rid of some of the wards here. And I like how he puts it far away from the wall to help cover more of the brush. Aggressive green there. He's going to watch some of the rotations. No sweepers are up here. Only 3 sweepers is the price you pay for using an upgraded ward drop over your top lane. You get 1 less sweeper. Less chance of clearing waves away, Luigi G.
Space Invaders.
Hey man, you hit all those. It's a good play. Bam.
Now they get to bait it. They get to bait the Baron. You can see Seraph is already here. He walked here. He didn't care about Rux because he doesn't have his TP up just yet, and Rux does.
But Kez able to actually brazenly walk in. Seraph the same, just trying to knock down these. Wow, yeah, the Lee Sin Q somehow missed. Seraph takes a big burst and goes down. Gate gets it, still has Shockwave, and TDK have to be afraid of this one. Impaler really wants him, but has to still respect Victor's damage. He's got the fully upgraded Chaos Storm now. Mid lane under fire. Final 5, will they go for mid tier 2, will they go for Baron?
Right now, it just looks like they shove up the wave, see what they can get. This is a very clearable wave, though, by a Victor.
Yeah.
Kyle's just going to shoot up this wave and clear it all. There's no reason to be here. You're not going to get anything for it.
Well, they're going to clear one more wave and help make sure there's no counter push mid available. 15 seconds on Seraph, but he has teleport. He could probably buy a home guard. In fact, no, he cannot. But all that's because he bought a Null Magic Mantle. He could sell it for home guard.
You'd have to go in like right now and get the ultimate on.
All right, they're going to try. Rux pops the haste buff. Smoothie in the back line. 2-man stun. A little bit of damage onto Sheep, but is that really the target you want? Orianna might be, though. Shields himself. Goes in for the Q. No Shockwave. Just actually, no, it's down and take it back. And 2 for 0 from Kyle. Now, Veritas chased out by Seraph. Distortion provides a little bit of kiting, but not nearly enough. Veritas forced to run away. And 2 for 0.
Too late on the engage there, and Sheep, he didn't have his Solar Flare up just yet. He used it for the pickoff right before that fight when they took out Seraph, and now they lose their tier 2.
Yeah, like a 1 for 0 is not going to give you a whole lot of control, especially when it's not a wave clearer like Irelia, but a 2 for 0 is going to give you that pressure. Like Orianna, no Shockwave, easy turret kill.
And it's one of those things where you should just go to Baron, And if they walk up to Baron, you maybe get another kill on top of it. Or they forfeit it, they cede it to you because you have the vision control of that area. You still have pink wards in your inventory too. You can keep contesting that area. You had all that time to do so.
Yeah.
Going up against a wave clear mid like Victor, as soon as it crashes against the turret, you're able to handle it. And they backed off. Like Rux places Righteous Glory and tries to get in range to get his W and then ulti with Gate. Like, it was a very telegraphed play of what they were trying to accomplish, but it was like trying to punch through a brick wall. But
they're gonna punch through Louis GG though. No way he gets out. Kill picked up by Rux, and maybe the Baron attempt happens here now. Kez takes a bit of poke. Shockwave comes in. Kez has flash, uses it, but now it's an unescaping Sejuani. Baron is going to be started. Final 5. They tried Baron last time, and TDK got a turnaround for it, but missing their AD carry, it's going to be a bit of a risk. They're going to go for Dragon. They will give up Baron. And Final 5 finally find something to go well for them.
That's a good Baron call. You pick one person off, you go do it. You have the vision control. Like, TDK have not had a ward on Baron for the last 5 minutes because he's just been controlled by Final 5. And now they finally pulled the trigger on it. It's a little late, but it's still them picking up the Baron. Very, very close game here between these two teams. Both teams want this so desperately because you want to get out of that middle of the pack, right?
Yep. Well, we'll see what happens as the game continues to unfold. 1,400 gold separates these teams. TDK on 2 Dragons, Final 5 on 3, and a Baron buff. Mid lane should be easy. They could just straight take mid right now, but they don't know that Kyle's still recalling. There's no way mid could be defended. Final 5 finally realize it. Their calls just seem so messy that they nearly gave up that control. If the melee minions were not still Baron buff, they would have been waved through by Louis GG in an instant.
Yeah, and Veritas staying next to the wave definitely helped them out there.
Yeah.
If he had walked away for a second, like you said, would have been completely...
No, that turret would not have died if Veritas weren't there. So heads up play by Veritas made the mid go down. Now top lane
5v5
with Baron buff though. Mid tier 2s are hard to tier 2 turrets are hard to defend against Baron. I feel like you generally lose them, but if you can buy time, you can wear out the Baron buff. It only lasts 3 minutes, only 1.5 now. There are 3 waves left with Baron buff if Final 5 want to stay for this. But bottom lane's pushing in gigantic waves about to reach their own turret.
That's true. Clearing this mini wave out, making sure that it doesn't reach the turret and catching it right before by Seraph and Kez.
Send Rux. He's got teleport. Out he goes. They know he's left, but they assume he's got teleport. TDK still can't play too greedily. The rest of the team does recall and fog.
They left 3 members still up here in the top.
Well, Sheep has Homeguard. He can get there pretty fast with Mobies.
Oh, they're going to run right up. They're going to try to clear this wave as fast as possible for damage.
Seraph going to take a little bit of damage, actually. Pretty good poke down by Veritas. And Mitt. Okay, this is a bit risky. Sheep's gone for a while.
5 on 3.
They get TP and Rux. Okay, they get it down to half.
They have to back up.
And Rux got a whole bunch of farm, though. He's catching up. Frozen Heart's done for him. Spectre's Cowl's in there. So Visage isn't far. It'll be a max CDR build for Rux when he finishes that item.
And now he gets to be the split push threat. He gets to reapply pressure to this bottom lane and relieve the pressure of having it against his turret.
No, he doesn't stay. Final 5, they want to use this time not to keep pushing with Baron buff, as it does time out very soon here.
Yeah.
In the next 15 seconds. They had one last wave to push it with, but instead they say, no, get your last recalls in, finish your items. Zhonya's here for Gate. Thornmail comes in from Rux. Quicksilver Sash also is actually a pretty big deal for Veritas, and Final 5 say, okay, we get to cash in right on the break points. Let's go.
Dragon's not up for a little bit. It's now about establishing ward control and keeping it for the next 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it's 3 minutes right now, considering that the Dragon died around the same time as Baron, and Baron just timed out. Seraph gets to outplay the ulti. Kez comes in. 3-man stun. Battle has begun, but are they too tanky? Gate gets stunned. Chase down. Gets almost one-shot, but pops Zoni's in time. Still likely to die. Does so. Kyle takes the kill. Rux, not tanky enough. Goes 2-3 for 0. Veritas makes it 4. This could be the game for TDK.
They just caught the highest gold member out from Final 5 and melted him. Now they get to run up naked inhibitor in the mid lane, and they get all this pressure. 30 seconds on the death timers.
This could absolutely be the 2-0 for TDK. It'll just be absolutely amazing for them if they can do this. They'll own the tiebreaker over Final 5 if it comes to that in the end of the postseason here. And here we go, turret number 1, turret number 2, that will be game. Good Killer Instinct and TDK take the 2-0 over Final 5. Both of them comebacks.
That Sejuani ultimate on the positioning, and Smoothie with the catch out there on Gate. Didn't even get to Zonius till he was about dead. Didn't even get to Flash. Immediate capitalization there on the mispositioning, and I talked about it halfway through the game. Both these teams prey on small mispositionings, whether it's the Sejuani ulti or the Orianna ulti. You have to be cognizant of where everybody is on your team when you're playing as that comp and against that comp.
So absolutely great play by TDK. The Sarah split push started the game 0-2, ended 1-4-9. Kyle bullied so hard in mid lane. His mid laner was level 2 off of the melee set of the wave. 9-3-7 on Victor. The team fight comp worked really, really well. Final 5, you thought they had a chance to get back into this game. They used Baron to farm up, get the item break points, then set up for Dragon. Problem was, they hadn't set up wards yet for Dragon. So as they limped in to get control, TDK knew they were just as powerful, got the picks, got the engages, worked so darn well. Now that TDK win means CLB, along with TSM Darkness, I believe, are eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah, all playoff spots have been decided, but seeding is still to be determined. Enemies number 1 right now at 6-1, and then TDK and Fusion are both 5-3, and then Final 5 is 4-4. So those are the 4 teams in playoffs, and now they're just fighting each other for seeding.
And we'll see what happens with this one. Overall, though, very interesting game. I gotta say, I'm happy with how TDK is shaping up. They started this season with a 0-2 under enemy Esports, and we're like, TDK, are they one of those teams that's lucky to get in, that, you know, maybe got an easy bracket for themselves in the qualifier? Are they going to be the joke? Are they going to be one of the joke teams? Turns out not the case. Their only losses have been to a 1-1 against fellow second-place Team Fusion. Again, that 0-2 under enemy Esports, but they have knocked down every other team. 2-0 Final 5, 2-0 TSM Darkness. They're going to play CLG Black then in the last week there, and you figure that might be another 2-0 week for TDK. This team could look very amazing in the postseason. I think they're poised to be the 2nd seed.
Yeah, like you said, they've had that inverse schedule where they had the hardest teams first, and then they just kind of trickled down towards the teams that were near the bottom of the standings. So their schedule has kind of been against them, but they've stuck together through it, which I think is absolutely huge for them.
Yeah, so TDK looking very good. Now, guys, joining us to talk about that victory on the Rift is TDK's support, Smoothie. So, by the way, you secured a spot in the playoffs, man. Congrats for that. How's it feel?
Pretty good, man. It's been a long road, man. It feels so good. So much pressure relieved.
So, of course, you're going to be playing for seeding overall. Your final fight is going to be against CLG Black next week. How important is that for making it a 2-0?
I mean, I don't think it's that important because we already got in playoffs, but it'd be nice if we did get it. Yeah.
And
just whatever, basically. All right, fine.
Yeah. Out of the 4 playoff teams, which one do you not want to face the most? And
Enemy,
why?
by far.
Yeah.
They're just really strong overall, and Trashy is scary.
Trashy is scary. Great analysis.
Your lane.
Yeah. Well, if you come into that, if you're feeling confident, you guys are looking good. You just 2-0'd Final 5, 1-1 against Fusion. It seems like you have a pretty good track record against these other teams. That maybe impending enemy TDK final, what's going to give you the edge to actually knock them down and reverse that 2-0?
I think that they probably underestimate us because for the first first weeks of NACS, we were really new. I was just getting into the team. Before it was Konquan, and of course he spoke Korean too. So I don't speak Korean, so it was really hard for me to communicate with the team. But now that I understand how the team works, it's a lot easier for me.
So are you just playing based on instinct? Does Kez give you any insight, or are you just well, they're going in, so I'll press R?
Kez and Seraph really do help with the translating, but basically in bot lane it's really just solo queue-esque type play.
What have you learned recently as a player playing in Challenger? Because you said you were fairly new to all of this. What's the biggest improvement you've seen for your own personal play throughout these weeks?
The past few weeks in the NACS, I've learned more than I could have ever asked for. I went from probably high master to mid to high challenger level play, and it's the wording really helped. I didn't know how to word it first, to be honest. Kez really helped me on that. And yeah, it just really helped to be in a good team atmosphere. And yeah, helped and solo queue a lot.
Well, that's good to hear, man, and I've been really enjoying watching you grow and your team really improve overall. So, Smoothie, thank you very much for the time, and good luck in your match next week and the postseason as well.
Thank you.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, it's time for our final fight of the night. TSM Darkness goes up against Enemy Esports, so don't touch that browser. You don't want to miss it. Is on. Kyle does not cleanse it, meaning the damage comes out. There's the flash and cleanse. The Q hits! Impaler gets first blood. He's going to be safe. Shockwave will miss. Ruck's not going to get anything for it. Gravity Well gets a two-man stun. Oh god, final five lose two out of the bat, but Smoothie gets re-engaged upon 2 for 2. But Louis GG going for the cleanup. Gets Rux. Veritas now in a duel. Who's going to win this battle? The Korean 80 carries. And Veritas coming out ahead with the Phantom Dancer build. Kyle takes the kill. Rux not tanky enough. Goes 2-3 for 0. Veritas makes it 4. This could be the game for TDK. All right, everyone, welcome back to the North American Challenger Series. Tonight's final game is about to start. But before we do that, the team comps from last night are going to be on your screen when Enemy Esports faced TSM Darkness. Enemy on the blue side, you can see just a nice, really good sieging composition with the Janna Tristana, but a lot of playmaking at the same time with the FLICKR, Hecarim, the Trashy follow-up, the NACS follow-up on Ahri.
And then on TSM Darkness, you can see a lot of dive here, a lot of go forward with the Annie, the LeBlanc, the Fizz, Assassin Jungle here for Inori, who's coming in this week for this team. They think he's going to be the one who levels them up. But also, Teaser, once again, on the Callista. So this comp, very well rounded in damage. We're going to see how this game played out.
Well, first off, we're seeing that Fizz in action. Flares, he's going to try to stop a teleport. And then it gets crazy. He thinks he can get out, but really good reactions. And that's going to be the lockup that allows Flares to get knocked down. Big ol' Ron really on top of his game for that one. It's going to be first blood.
Big ol' Ron, that means he wasn't looking at his TP location. He was looking at himself. And then Flare's like, clippity-clop with... Oh, nope.
Yeah, I don't know why you ever target the support of a Callista, but really, really good ult by Teaser. Problem is, it's just not enough. Enemy Esports finding a really good fight. Big ol' Ron is not here. It is a full 5-on-4. Enemy Esports getting a bunch of kills before the battle really starts.
Yeah, I don't know why you ever target the support of a Callista, but this is the time where it does work.
Yeah,
So
the ult's down. They had actually just burned it, so they quickly blow up Indivisible. He doesn't get to do much of anything, and the tower's theirs.
Enemy just slowly but surely chipping away at them.
It's worth pointing out the game was very, very close up until this point, but TSD choosing to chase in a 4v5, and Flare is just gigantic. Keep picking up kills with the Triforce power spike.
Waiting for those cooldowns, skittering around the fight, and then jumps right back in, able to use his Ignite, drop priority targets, and then they turn it around and they just run away with the game at that point. Otter, 4-1-1, is able to duel the Assassin Fizz, who gets knocked away and then doesn't get a whole lot of auto attacks off.
Yeah, that's the really thankful thing. I mean, Fizz very auto attack focused on the AD build, the Triforce, Blade of the Ruin King Devourer build, and then one more fight, Big ol' Ron on the front line, but he's just not tanky enough. They break him down a bit. Good little reset from Body Drop, and then
here's the TP.
Cypher cleanup. Down goes
Sorry,
one.
there was a Callista there.
There was, but very, very big Hecarim. Got a Zephyr of all things, just to add more damage to the output. Sure, why not? But overall, just Inox 5-0 and 8, 6-0 and 8. Why the heck not? Just absolutely exploding the team. 36-minute win. The first 25 were close, but Enemy Esports just found way better team fights.
Yeah, Inox once again having an amazing game. His Challenger debut in the mid lane has been nothing but stellar from start to finish. Even the game they lost, he still had a good scoreline, and he's just continually stepping up and impressing in this role.
Yeah, gets somewhere between 0 and 3 deaths a game, but his kills are always pretty high, his assists always pretty high.
He's never gone over 3 deaths a game.
Yeah, done very well for himself. Flares, though, kept up in farm on a top laner. That's a little bit rare typically, but really good job. I think he was really one of the big carry forces on Hecarim. But I also really need to talk about Arc second. Yeah. That mid laner for TSM Darkness, I feel like he's an Elo hell here in the Challenger Series. His team is 1-6. Look at that KDA. I dare you to go 1-6 and have that kind of KDA. He's been so darn good, but it's just it can't pull out the wins.
Yeah, he is got a 6.0 KDA, and then his team's KDA without him is 1.88.
Yeah.
So if you take him out of the equation, everybody else has around a 1.6 to a 2.2 KDA.
Yeah.
He does phenomenally well with, like, when they lose, and they've lost a lot, they've lost 6 games, it's never his fault. He's never the one feeding or giving it up. He's basically like, I'm 4-1-4 mid lane against a 6-0-8, and he's not the reason that Ahri became 6-0-8.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate seeing how this sort of lineup is performing, because TSM Darkness, if they could play like TSM Prime, they'd do fine, right? They've got a guy who's practically Bjergsen. He even looks the part in the mid lane. Arcsec is routinely amazing. He is routinely amazing. But the problem is they have the wrong personalities on the team, and that's actually really kind of, to me, a very big issue. Big ol' Ron is actually doing pretty well being safe. He's playing Gnar, Maokai, Sion, just being a tank. He's trying to beat Dyrus, and he's close. Like, Big ol' Ron is more or less holding the fort. And Inori now in the jungle, maybe it will work out. Maybe he can camp the mid lane and get the guy set up. But the problem to me is actually Teaser. Teaser is a player who tries so hard to bully his opponents out. And he's a good player. He is good, but the problem is he sacrifices farm for harass. He ends up overextending and getting ganked. He ends up dying a lot in team fights. And if the bot lane could just stay afloat from TSM Darkness, they could just try to snowball mid, let ArcSecond carry the game, and play off him. And it requires a mentality shift. And I know it's hard to do, to be like, I'm an aggressive player, and like find a way to turn that down, but that's what Indivisible and Teaser need to do. It's
so hard. And with Inori, who's also a very aggressive player in the jungle, likes the Rengar, likes to make plays, likes the Fizz, we saw it earlier. He is somebody that, you know, will take over the game with aggression, and alongside ArcSecond, who does have good score lines, Teaser just needs to calm it down a little bit. He needs to be able to take a backseat. There's that saying, like, sometimes you need to just allow yourself to be carried. Too many carries on a team is actually a bad thing.
Unless you're OMG.
Yes.
If you're the second best team in China, then sometimes it works for you. But that is, to be fair, that is a hard style to play, and that's fair, right? But
there's only so much gold.
And you're right. There is only so much gold, right? They actually their jungler has to be a lot more passive and give up that farm to Uzi and everyone else. But yeah, you're right. I think there are a lot of ways to play League of Legends, and you can play a 3 carry type composition. Again, we see OMG do it, but yeah, TSM Darkness, they need to find a way to play passively everywhere else and try to find a way to key off ArcSecond. And if they can give him a big, awesome assassin, if they can get, like, he started out playing a bunch of Xerath, and now he's been playing LeBlanc. He had he had a Cassin game earlier on. He went 5-1-1 when he played against CLG Black. Like, those are the kind of games where I think that's the right kind of play for him. These Cassidins, these LeBlancs, maybe like a Talon Zed, like some of these bigger assassins, so they can actually go and take over a game and make the more individual plays. That's the kind of things I want to see TSM Darkness do.
Yeah, but we need to swap over to Enemy, because we haven't really talked about them too much. They are the team to beat right now, #1, 6-1. And you can see on your screen right there, Shorter Ace is actually filling in for Enemy right now. Trashy has to go back to Europe and deal with his visa. He'll be out for a week, possibly a little more, but depending on that, Shorter Ace is in for him, which I think is a great sub.
Yeah, he's definitely a very good player. We saw him back on the old Final 5, way back when they were in the expansion tournament. Was a very big, bright spot for that team. You're going to see him now in Enemy Esports looking pretty good.
Shout out to his jungle Lulu that he played one time. Wasn't very good.
Doesn't matter.
But he played.
He watched the spotlight, shouted me out in person about that one. I was like, yeah, no, it's actually pretty good. So, there's always a chance here. But yeah, I want to see how well Enemy Esports then can do, because they come in as a scary team. Smoothie talked about it. We talk about it like every single week. Enemy Esports is the team to beat. Shorter Ace better live up to the hype now. Now they're going to be kind of for sure in playoffs, and they better hope this team can still look good as they move on. Of course, Inox has been absolutely amazing every single time. He's got a LeBlanc for himself. Right now, just a Janna for body drop.
Here's the question, though. Has Inox been amazing off of Trashy setting him up early?
I think it's mostly been Inox being awesome. So, I mean, Trashy helps, to be fair.
Trashy does help a whole lot.
But you could put me in the mid lane and give me Trashy, I would find a way to throw the game. Right? I would find a way to feed after that first blood he gave me. So I believe Inox is just a better player.
Inox is really good.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, is it going to make a big difference that Shorter Ace is by his side?
Definitely can.
Instead.
Definitely can. I mean, like, you expect there to be some kind of hit, but I do believe in the rest of Enemy Esports and how well they do. But of course, it's still a question to be answered. Of course, Maokai comes in for Big Ol' Ron, give him a nice big safe top laner, make him play like Dyrus. That's fine. Go give Inox an assassin, make him continue to be awesome, who has been just crushing every single game over and over. Why fix what hasn't been broken? Inox, go play an assassin, go be awesome.
Hasn't been broken. LeBlanc is... No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, gosh.
No, right now, they pick up the LeBlanc, and LeBlanc is something that does really well in the mid lane. There aren't very many counters to it. Like, Morgana's really good against it, but Morgana's banned away. So body drop gets the Janna for himself very early on. I like the pickup of when you ban one champion that somebody's played every game. Body drop has only played Morgana except for against TSD, because they banned the Morgana, and he picks up the Janna very early on in the champion rotation so that he gets it and he gets something for himself.
All right, so Inori, his second Fizz here, ArcSecond on Graves. Just, I guess I don't want to classify Fizz as a team fighter, really. I was going to say, like, oh, Maokai Graves, team fight comp, but that's not really the case here.
It's like a skirmisher, like...
Yeah, like, you definitely have some good skirmish power here, and especially because you're using fairly low ult cooldowns when you talk about champions like Maokai. Your sort of fight every 40 seconds power is actually quite good here, where you can just kind of keep bursting out, keep doing fun things with your lower-ish cooldowns. We don't see a lot of jungle Fizz, though, in competitive, so I still have to kind of sort of watch more and mature on like what that's going to really bring to a team, but I expected still a lot of pressure early on. 2 more champs coming for Enemy Esports, and it's going to be Lee Sin and Kalista. So Otter getting that one. Picks actually into a bad AD carry matchup, but with Janna, it helps a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. It allows him to auto-attack trade and get that little extra AD for the multiplication on Ren. So he's in a good spot with that champion pick, even though, like you said, bad matchup. But there's still a lot of things. Indivisible could go for an Annie. They could get the pick.
Yeah.
They can go for the engage there. Like I think that would be the pickup here for the support. The thing here, though, for me is when I was looking at the bans, jungle bans here, like Nidalee, Rengar, Rek'Sai off the table, 2 bans from enemy thrown at Inori. So Nori's kind of already worth his salt on the roster if he's drawing bans in champion select. But that's the thing is TSD don't really have a whole lot of champions that it frees up for them that are like signature champions that they want to jump on.
Yeah.
It's nothing that's been like, oh, TSD hasn't had a threatening performance yet, so what do you ban against them? You ban probably one of their strongest facilitators, so...
Hey, if you're not afraid of anything they play, the bans are kind of going to be whatever. So whatever, look at Lysandra gone, 5.4 or whatever, sure. Who cares? And Nori, though, getting on that Fizz, and it will finally be Zed for Arc second. First time we are seeing him play that champion. It's his first physical damage champion here in the mid lane, but I like him playing once again on Assassins. His LeBlanc game was 4-1-4. His Kassadin game was 5-1-1. He's had a very good set of performances on these Assassin champions, so maybe Zed can do it. Also, again, you talked about Annie. Annie Graves, great in this bottom lane matchup as well. TSM Darkness, we'll have to see what their top lane counterpart is from Flares, but I like their team comp here. Their lane matchups are very good, and they can kind of continue that forward and team fight quite well.
And then it becomes a lot about what the junglers can do to upset those lane matchups. Yeah. And we were talking about Arc second, talked about Inox. He has not died more than 3 times a game, and they're 6-1.
Yeah.
You look over Arc second, he has not died more than 3 times a game, and he's lost 6 times.
That's true.
He's very impressive at playing behind, or playing from behind. He's only died 3 times, 1 time.
He died twice.
Yes.
And then everything's been 1 or 0 otherwise.
He has 10 deaths overall.
Yeah. Pretty good. 1 + 2 + 1 + 3 + 2 + 1. You do the math. I don't really care. But either way, pretty darn nice. A couple of zeros in there. So the team comps are in. It is Hecarim in the top lane. So the Death Pony for Flares.
Well, he's been sitting on those summoner spells the entire championship. Yeah. Like, he had a really good Hecarim game. This is a very crazy, like, pick, run at you comp every now and then. But it has disengage. It has things that are going to help them out with, like, sustained team fights.
Yeah, it's just generally fairly bursty, really. Yeah. And with Hecarim being able to home guard TPN, we're seeing pretty much all of them rush Merc Treads or Ninja Tabby by the home guard, practically first item, and then just trying to go for the flank plays. And Flares so far has done a pretty good job of doing that, so really can't complain.
Yeah.
To get ourselves into the game. The question is then, can the hardcore diving sort of team fight of Enemy Esports work, or TSM Darkness with a Zed and a Fizz, so much individual playmaking as well. Like, they got to start climbing up in the rankings somehow. Why not start here?
Yeah. It's a big road up. It's the top of the table versus the bottom here.
Yeah.
Right? First place versus 6th place. And TSD, at this point, cannot clinch a playoff spot, I believe. No.
TSM Darkness with only 1 win. And, well, no, they do have multiple games to go. They could 3-way tie with CLG Black in Final 5. As actually a quick fix what we said earlier, we said CLG Black was out of the playoffs. They're only 2 games behind Final 5. And those teams are 1-1. TSM Darkness could win here, win their 2 matches next week, also improve to 4 wins. Actually, there is this weird possibility of a 3-way tie in the bottom of the table. So some of that can still happen. TSM Darkness have the slimmest of chances, but just maybe. And overall, as we've been seeing champions picked up throughout the Challenger Series, there have been some very interesting ones this season. On lolesports.com, there's actually an article about that right now.
Yeah, under latest news, the feature story, Spiders and Laser Beams, details the increasing popularity of Elise and Victor in competitive play. One was actually banned. And if you missed any of those games from those champions, you can check those out on our spoiler-free VODs page, also on lolesports.com.
But of course, right now, we're in the live broadcast, so you wait on that one. You stay here for now, but afterwards, just lolesports.com VODs.
Click with your mouse wheel on it, and then just set it off to the side. You can come back to it later.
Immediately after the game and after the broadcast, once you're done seeing our pretty faces, you can see more in the other games from the past, in case you miss us. And of course you do. But don't worry. Game's coming up here in a second.
Where are you going? Why are you going so far away?
Why are you going away?
No,
we're gone! Oh, God! What? I don't look like Zed. That's weird.
If you put a helmet on.
And had shurikens on my back.
Yeah, striking resemblance.
Sure.
Hey, Zed could have your beard underneath all of his stuff.
Speaking of which, I have the only beard in the LCS.
This is truly
now.
the darkest timeline.
So,
Rivington Bislin IV made his debut today on PTL.
Best facial hair in the LCS. Hashtag freak win.
I don't know.
Take to Twitter.
I don't know. Kobe's got that 5 o'clock shadow thing that he does, and it looks pretty rugged and good. I don't know. If we're talking about beards, then yeah, because that's like stubble. I don't know if that actually qualifies as a beard.
It doesn't. I win. Back off.
You can't really groom that.
Lee Sin has a nice little, is that a goatee? What, like the thing on the bottom?
Yeah, that's a goatee.
Okay. That's not a beard either. Mostly female lineup, though, for the right-hand side team.
Talking about the relevant things here. Mostly female lineup.
Well, they don't have facial hair. I guess, like, Teaser's Graves, like, he's got a manly mustache, so he's got me beaten, maybe.
Maybe.
Like, I might have the best facial hair in this game.
Maokai's got, like, green eyebrows. His eyebrow game is pretty crazy.
He's also a tree.
And his name is also Maokai.
We're mentioning useful things here in the Challenger broadcast.
Like what?
I mean, like they're like leaves. Like, of course they're green.
Welcome to Game 3 of the day. We have been casting 3 games back to back.
Big ol' Ron in his home environment of the trees.
Killing birds and raptors?
No, he's like around the other trees. He blends in. Actually, is Big ol' Ron even there? I can't tell.
Yeah, he's... Oh, wait.
It's just a really strong breeze. And just one of the trees is blowing back and forth.
Oh, man. He's there.
Violently.
But Shorter Ace is up in the jungle of Inori.
It's like the movie The Happening, where do you think the forest just kills you?
That's a quick start there from Shorter Ace. Steals the blue buff. Now, does Inori know about this?
Looks like the answer might be no. There's zero vision anywhere. Shorter Ace gets some time to kill with a Scuttle Crab. Gets to Spellvamp off it too, so that's happy.
Gets some HPs back. Wonder Kid of Washington on his Lee Sin, his signature champion.
It's true.
He loves to make plays on it, and he's making his Challenger debut in the 2015 season on that champion.
Let's see what we get then. And Nori's going to walk up, and the blue buff is gone! And he keeps walking forward, as though it like was stealth or something.
Where did it go? And that's where you ping the map crazy and be like, no, go check their blue. But no, they can't give up pressure in this bottom lane.
Body drop and Otter really definitely the strongest bot lane in the Challenger season based on their stats here, and they're pushing in Teaser and Indivisible. Cannon missed by Otter. What a scumbag player. And, ooh, nice. Gets the W proc onto Indivisible. Now Annie's very low, but Inori's already top lane. Wants flares.
No
nice
flash.
knockback. They got the kill. Nicely done.
This is something they weren't doing yesterday, was picking on flares in the top lane. Hecarim has no flash when he has these summoner spells.
Yep.
Doesn't have an escape. He relies solely on his E, and with the Maokai, it is so easy to apply pressure to that Hecarim and pick up kills early.
And the thing is, what was so clever about this was Shorter Ace got the early Scuttle Crab kill. The only possible gank route was to go for the lane gank, and Inori did that exactly right. Got his way in. Flares burns the TP with only a null magic mantle here versus the double Doran's ring, and now 2 wards of Big ol' Ron. I don't know if Shorter Ace can turn this fight around. Turn this lane around, I should say.
It'd be very hard. If he shows up and Nori has the Skirmisher Saber, and if they show up at the same time, it's a big advantage for the Fizz, actually.
Oh, another knockup, though. Body drop and Otter really wanting this fight. TSM Dark is having a really rough time down here. They're continually triggering the Callista W. Just so much damage coming out. And TSM Dark is just unable to fight back.
Burning through all their potions and just the trading. Otter, we talked to him last week, and he was talking about how he's not really worried about this matchup.
So far, so good.
He said it's going to be GG easy.
Well, to be fair, though, it's largely in the back of Body Drop, who's tanked so much damage from this air quotes counter matchup. He's used all of his potions as well. Arcsecond, though, rooted up by Inox, forced to flash. Shorter Ace is here, lands the Q, lands the Ignite. Flashes on out. There's a kill on the board for enemy Esports.
Nice pickup there. Inori looking top, picking on the Hecarim with no flash.
Here's the attempt. Big ol' Ron. When's he going to land the W? First gets the Q. Flare's trying to jump around. Oh, wow. Gets all the way back in towards Inori. Q's back in, but will it be enough? Dot. The flash Q will be enough. Inori's 2 kills in. Doing very nicely.
Yep. Inori, they thought he was going to do a whole lot for this team when they picked him up. And it's definitely showing early on that he knows how to apply pressure to the correct lane.
The big thing is Flares had TP'd in the top lane for the last time, so now it's a very slow walk up. 2 full waves will die to the turret and give Big Ol' Ron a safe recall. But enemy Esports realizing Fizz is up there shoving to deny that golden experience. No, they're safe down to the bot side, so 2 kills top lane, 1 kill mid lane, and a dragon for enemy Esports.
Here's the thing is it does give Teaser and Indivisible an okay back timing, right? They get to back, they won't lose too many creeps because so much time is spent by Otter and Body Drop to do the dragon. So now they have to clear this wave, shove it up, and then they get to back. So right now, TSD actually get a lot off that kill. The first dragon, not a huge deal.
And we'll see if it does mean more later on, though, when items do finally come in. Double longsword for Shorter Ace, plus a 6% bonus will give him a bit of extra damage. We'll see if that next gank means anything more. Early defensive pink ward. Actually, it's a nice sort of moderate pink ward. It's a bit defensive. It'll watch topside ganks, but it also allows pretty quick roam and gank pressure to come in on that side. The mid lane ward. There's a ward watching for the attempted counter or repeat gank by Inori. So that one in the top lane. We'll see if that happens anymore, though. But I feel like that top lane is so upset already.
Is that the... yeah, that's the first blue buff. It's still there.
Yeah, good point.
Short Race never did his blue.
It couldn't have respawned by now, so
yeah.
Doesn't need to. He just stole Inori's away. And now it's a pretty good time for NACS to get that, now that he's got Phoenix Codex.
Oh, body drop.
Oh, body drop. Stun comes in. Actually misses the playful Trickster. Will he flash? He does. Flash chase. Inori's going to maybe get the kill, but the exhaust and the summoner heal keep him alive. Inori now taking a lot of damage. Otter does not want to chase through these guys. Gets a bit more damage.
NACS. He's 6.
But Inori should have the hop back. We're going to see the top lane fight instead, though. Flares and Big Ol' Ron in a battle. Ulti pop by Flares really wants this, but guess what? Shorter Ace comes around the backside, upsets the lane, ward hops in.
He even uses just a ward in his inventory, too. Doesn't even put down his trinket ward either. Just wants that range.
The same range.
Yeah, he just throws it out, and he's like, oh, boom.
Whatever, use the ward instead. YOLO. I'm actually very impressed by how easily those kills were turned back around. Of course, Big Ol' Ron only getting assists. Didn't get, I guess, enough gold to really solidify a gigantic lead there. Great fight. Flares and Shorter Race now tied the kills up 2-2. They're still sitting on first dragon. And I gotta say, life ain't bad for enemy Esports. That's gotta be so depressing, though. You 2-0'd your lane, and you still get killed in practically the 1v1, though. Like, Shorter Race got the secured kill, but, like, Big Ol' Ron was already losing that fight.
Just the power of Hecarim.
Yeah.
Just stand there and spam Qs on him, use W. And also the fact that Big Ol' Ron went immediately for a Warden's Mail. It's a little weird. It's actually really weird. I think a Glacial Shroud with the cooldown might have been a little bit more dueling power. I know the Warden's Mail slows the attack speed, but like Hecarim doesn't really rely on that.
Unless his goal is Randuin's. But even then, I'd buy the health first, so. Wow, Inox!
Oh, Shorter Ace.
Oh my god.
Kill Stealer!
Secures the kill.
Kill Stealer!
Secures the kill, Inox. He got 15 bonus gold for the assist anyway.
If you look at the post-game stats for this, you're going to be like, oh man, Shorter Ace had such a great show. He's stealing these kills with Qs. He's like, whoop, Wonder Kid of Washington, and he's out.
Yep. Well, a couple of jungle steals at the same time. Inox forced to hold mid, just, or Inori rather.
Oh,
man.
Just imagine Shorter Ace running up being like, Inox, big fan, throws a Q off to the side. Oh, thanks for the kill. That's it. That's it. Just immediately scumbagging his lane.
You know who else is a big fan? All Karma players.
She doesn't have fans anymore.
Traditional skin, homie.
I said anymore. She used to have them.
Traditional skin still does.
Yeah, it's the old one. It's like,
okay, so?
It's like calling Trundle's pillar of filth still.
That's not the same thing. Inox, though, jumped up by Arc second, though. Dodges the Q. Means he was going to survive. Nice juking by Inox, and good foresight to realize that's what he needed to do.
Nice
Jumps back in for the trade. Yeah, not going to be quite enough. Inori sitting in the top lane still. Hecarim. Home guard TP. He wants Arc second.
Nope, uses the TP just for a little bit of damage. Shorter Race is coming around in mid lane. Arc second.
Man.
It's going to be rough hanging around here.
Or Arc second. Yep. In goes Lee Sin. Ah!
We almost flashed into that. That was actually a little off to the left.
Yeah. That was like not even a Mad Life cue. Like you can go to like estimate
like,
the flash or aim at the guy specifically. He put him between the two. That's a field goal cue.
Yeah. I'm just going to cover the option of if he somehow gets out of the kick a little faster and then moves down.
Which can't happen.
I know.
Yeah, that's why I called it. That's why I was making fun of him too.
Yeah.
Welcome to the party.
I hate it here. I'm leaving.
All right, it's final solo
This
cast.
party sucks.
Peace. Flares, though, home guards back to the top lane. Who needs teleport? You can just run real fast. Top lane outer, of course, did go down. So TSM Darkness still within 700 gold here. It's just the fact that Shorter Ace has done such a good job of landing these ganks.
Landing.
With his 3-0 scoreline. Crushing fools.
He's got to show up trashy, right? He's got to be there for his laners.
Watch, just like steals his spot. Like it's going to be a Betsy and Nick situation where you're like, you know what? Thanks for playing with us, trashy, but
Shorter Ace, I don't know. He was on an LCS squad for a little bit, subbing in for Winter Fox, and he has to deal with school right now. He's more focused on that and can't really dedicate to
it was a joke, Aiden.
I'm actually being serious about this though, because I like Shorter Ace.
That's fair.
I feel like the explanations out there, like people wonder why he isn't playing with the team, and it's because he's focusing on his schoolwork.
It's true. All right, now though, Enemy Esports, along with Shorter Ace, doing very well in this game. 500 gold lead, not massive to be fair, but still looking good for them. Arc second has been camped pretty hard, and 0-2-0 is the evidence of that. And Nori,
speaking of camped hard, this is gonna be a 5-man gank bottom.
And they're gonna walk right through a pink ward though. Shorter Ace knows they got revealed, and he's like, yeah, that's a pink ward.
Oh god.
He's up Darkness, get away safely. And Nori's right around here though.
Arc second.
Lands the ult. Jumps into Shorter Ace. The kick doesn't mean very much, though, and here comes the rest of the team. Flash stun on the 2. Is it going to be enough? NACS turns the kill back into Nori. The flash out from Otter keeps him safe, even ults his support out. A 1-for-0, actually in enemy's favor.
Yeah, and Arc second doesn't have anything to say in that fight. He's off on the side and doesn't get to engage, doesn't get to be a part of it. And they blow the TP, and they just disengage it very cleanly. No capitalization there. And Inori, I think he went after the wrong target, and he went for a hero play. Jumping onto Shorter Ace was not ideal. The fact that they had the Tibbers up and they had that play at their disposal from Indivisible means they should have been forcing something else. Good management of their resources to know that they can still take this, because a lot of ultimates were blown.
Yeah, so good bot lane kill, and TSM Darkness then sits again in that 500 gold disparity zone, where it is a very close game here despite this kill score. You've got to keep in mind TSD not in that horrible of a spot. Flair's stuck top lane without a teleport means, look, he can get some waves, he can knock that turret down maybe, but at least TSM Darkness will get a dragon score on the board here. Inori does not bother to smite, doesn't need it. Big ol' Ron not holding teleport for himself, that means he can't hold his top lane yet, and there might be a big gold swing back for Enemy Esports.
Big ol' Ron goes straight for the Frozen Heart, even before he picks up boots. He finally just now got boots for himself. So he can get back to the lane a little bit faster. Shorter Ace on this side. He has that timer of that blue. And comes to make a visit to it.
So it is going to be the Blade of the Ruin King build for Otter. Flares does also knock down that top turret after all. So all that effort for Big ol' Ron. It got them bot lane outer, it got them dragon, but Flares traded it back by staying and shoving hard. Level 10 on this hack room, actually quite far ahead of Big ol' Ron's Maokai.
Yeah, everybody converging around this blue buff though from enemy, all on the same page. They know that this is where the objective that they have in their sights.
And they give it to Flares. A very scary pony with a pretty blue buff under him. Kind of matches the color scheme of the champion, so can't hate on that too much. Enox wearing his own blue buff. And we can see it is going to be Ruin King again for Inori as well. So, some good tank busting available at a certain point here for that champion, if he does need to knock down Flares in the late game, but otherwise, not a lot of big durable guys to deal with. In fact, both teams pretty squishy right now. Not a lot of bonus health really on anyone. So the burst potential very real on both sides here.
Right now, they're pretty much playing around Flares' teleport timer. He's in a position to possibly make a play. if he backs and uses it.
They're just putting farm on him. You can see he's just constantly going to one of the side lanes and pushing it into the outer turret. They expect that he can get out with the ulti, with the E-charge. And he is just the heavy aggressive split pusher. Big Oran, though, almost puts him into turret range. He's not going to ult, though, to trade back. Flair's taking plenty of damage all the same, and takes another turret shot. Flair's got to be a bit careful here.
Oh, he's getting converged on by everybody. Wow, all 5 members of enemy.
There's no wards here at all for TSM Darkness. In comes Body Drop, flashing away by Big Oran. Takes the fear all the same. But he gets safe bot lane, though, well under control.
Middle push from TSD to respond to this and send 4 people there immediately.
So the question is, who gets more? Bot lane being pushed by 5, mid lane being pushed by 4. Enemy Esports do finally knock down bot outer, but TSM Darkness still well in position to push down mid tier 2. They've actually got the better handle of all this. This could be another turret getting knocked down, but there's a flank coming from Enemy Esports.
They'll be able to get this turret and actually get out safely. There's no way. You can't travel that distance in time.
Yeah, and you can see actually they just stop. Enemy Esports like, yeah, you know what? Rather get Scuttle Crab, no big deal. Once again, a 500 gold difference. Inox now in on a big Oran. Ulti to try to survive, but Ignite is there. Flares just to secure the kill. Why the heck not? Flares 1, 2, and 1, getting his way with this match now. Bot lane tier 2 now under fire. And by the way, TSM Darkness, it spent time top jungle, but Enemy Esports stayed bottom. Look what they get for it.
They're actually going to be able to get this turret in response. So Enemy trading. The fact that they also pick up big ol' Ron off that play.
Keep in mind, top tier 2 not getting focused, though. This is just constant pressure on all sides of the map. 2 recalls forced, a late one from Flares. He's got Home Guard, though, but it's only Otter and Body Drop to defend. No teleport. In comes the Home Guard Hecarim right now. He's heading across, but it's not going to be in time. TSM Darkness make this push for the turret. They can't quite stay, though. They're just a little bit too afraid of the reinforcements. No local gold, but the turret still falls. 5-4, TSM Darkness. Doing a pretty good job of finding some pushes, but they're losing out on farm when they do this.
Yeah, the way that they're moving around the map on TSM Darkness side, it's actually really, really good to see as a response to what enemy are doing. Enemy's just picking up more kills at this point. The fact that they got big ol' Ron was really big for them, because if big ol' Ron had just stayed around, they would have been able to shove the top lane, and then if he would have been able to shove out bottom, it's more waves in their favor. They have more options and more places to go. They get tier 2 top kind of as a consolation prize, but it's worth more, right?
Yeah, it is indeed. And overall, TSM Darkness now only 1 tier 2 turret left to kill. Means they could really push these waves up and create a lot of pressure.
A lot of ward control here from Enemy. Indivisible, he might check this.
I know most of the wards are gone because we haven't seen TSM Darkness bot side in a while. Teaser dodges the E, but will it be enough? The ulti once again for Hecarim. And the Ignite is going to be enough. Flares picks it up. And Enemy Esports, once again, the more powerful team on the map. He will respawn in time for Dragon, but not in time to keep their jungle alive. And Enemy going to take over everything.
They also got 2 of his summoner spells in exchange for just 1.
Yeah. Flares' ult, I don't think it's going to be up quite in time. 83 seconds on that cooldown right now. And it's only 60 on Dragon, so a small window where they will not have Onslaught of Shadows in case these guys need it.
Lack of ward coverage from TSD is really going to start hurting them here in their own jungle, and the fact that Enemy are bold enough to play up there. We've seen them take the blue buff on the opposite side. We've seen them bush camp in this bottom side.
Yeah.
You really have to cover everything, because you're going to get caught out when you walk up to try and ward those areas because you lost control of them.
Yeah, that's one thing that's really crazy about this game is, unfortunately for TSM Darkness, their Sight Stone was empty when they were like running around top jungle and all this, so there's just no wards up there for these guys. Whereas Enemy Esports, after that whole kerfuffle in the mid lane, actually got some wards back down in that bot jungle. So they have some ward control for Dragon, and they can maybe keep it for a
ward
bit.
Control.
Yeah, just no wards here at all. Quick kills on Indivisible and likely Teaser. I don't see how he gets out. Kick, kill, couple auto attacks, 6 seconds on Dragon. They could stay for maybe another wave pushed in bot lane just to continue the pressure, but Dragon's up when they want it. Red buff's up when they want it. And Enemy Esports just having a really nice mid game.
Yeah, their early game was a little rough. They were just staying toe-to-toe with TSD. But then this started happening, where they started getting picked off. Enemy doing a really good job of picking up the stragglers. And like you said, it's a very bursty comp. LeBlanc, Hecarim, they want to jump in. They want to just utterly destroy somebody in a second. And now they're doing it. Now they're getting the ward control to do it.
Well, with the bot lane down, they stay for the mid lane instead. TSM Darkness not really able to defend that, and they sent 2 guys to take down Dragon. That was quick as well, but the re-engage comes in. Inox, the target of attention, takes a bit of burst, but he gets the Annie down first anyway, and Big ol' Ron now in danger. Otter forced to flash out, pulls in Janna for some disengage, but it's a 5v4. Flares knocks in Arc second, 0-3-0 on Zed. Not a successful game at all from TSM Darkness's mid laner. Shorter Race will trade back with Inori. No, doesn't have the damage. Another kill picked up. This is a 4 for nothing. And now mid inhibitor turret under fire.
Enemy are just grouping up, and with their huge gold advantage on the right people. Inox now 3-0-8. And this Hecarim 5-2-3. They're doing immense work, and they get themselves an inhib 21 minutes into the game. Enemy are in a fantastic spot to just run away with this game.
Well, Inox certainly did have some help from Shorter Race. 2 kills pretty early on. Went at least assist-wise to LeBlanc, but he's cashed in so much off of it. 3-0-8 from there. So far, so good for Enemy Esports.
A flash distortion from Inox to pick up the kill, and then Big ol' Ron trying to just do something. It's at the part of the game where your impact is very frustrating because you're just getting out damaged, you're getting out locked up as well. And when you're a tanky player and you haven't like gone even in lane, and the split pusher is doing more, applying more pressure, making plays. Oh, he attacked a minion there.
Oh,
he
man.
hit the minion. Ooh.
He also W'd early before he Q'd in, so I think his W active was down at that point. The percent missing health damage. That would have helped secure those kills maybe a bit better. But unfortunately for TSM Darkness, they're just falling farther and farther and farther behind now. Getting our second out of lane looks to be very important. Inori spent all his time camping flares, trying to get Big ol' Ron ahead. Didn't have an effect on the game basically at all. Inori went from 2-0 to 0-2. Big ol' Ron went from 0-0-2 to 0-3-2.
Getting ganked by the Janna.
Oh, did go on a body drop, did not land the Chum the Waters. Gets some good damage down, but by the way, again, you can't target the support of a Kalista player. Easy escape.
Really kind of disheartening there, too. It looked like Inori, the assassin, the Blade of the Ruined King, Fizz jungle. You think he'd be able to kill the support.
I mean, he's going to win the one-on-one.
Yes. He win the one-on-one.
But, yeah, pretty hard to go through with the Kalista ult there, so unfortunate overall. Fate's call, making sure that was in fact the name. It is. Big ol' Ron, defensive sapling ward. But overall, it's just TSM Darkness getting strangled out of this game. Enemy Esports looking at a 7-1 record after this one. Their closest competition both sitting at 5 wins. Have nearly secured themselves a first round bye, or not first round, sorry, a first seed. They've nearly got it secured with a win here. There's no buys in the Challenger playoffs.
Yeah. Everybody has to play that first round. Baron chunked out here. Enemy looking for this to help them close the game out. We talked about how 35 minutes is the fastest game time that we've seen in Challenger this season.
25?
25, yeah. Did I say 35? I meant 25.
It's okay. Know what you meant. Inori, though, looking for the 2-on-1 against Flares. The fear comes in. They do get the kill, but the re-engage by Enemy Esports. Do they want it? Indivisible misses the flash engage. And by the way, Inox knocked down Inori at the end of all that, so it's a 4-on-4 all the same. Otter wants to play aggressively. Can't go in too hard. Notice wave clear defensively. Arc second still unable to get on the board. Hexdrinker, Blade of the Ruined King. Not the build you want to see from Zed this late into the game. Brutalizer's there as well, but just no farm, no kills or assists.
They're immediately pressing exactly where they needed to press to. They don't need to go down mid lane. There's super minions there for them. So enemy decide time to push top. Inox gets a pick. They don't continue to push it though. Instead, back, buy, and then go for the throat at that point.
And I think there's going to be a lot of kills coming in very short order for Enemy Esports. Quickly do your bookkeeping. Take down the red buff. Give it to Otter, hopefully. And that's the case. Auto attack E. Auto attack, down it goes. Quicksilver Sash in just in case he does get caught up by Zed or Annie, but shouldn't be a big concern for Otter overall. 2-0-4. The game's not really about him. He's the beneficiary of kills, but
Just checking.
well, there's no way it's down right now. They have actually the rough timer. Inori will grab himself a red buff. I mean, his ability to deal good damage to the backline is there. He's got Ruin King and Devour. He's got a red buff. Inori can wreak havoc, but just the team is very far behind. 9k gold down.
What is he doing? You can't even...
Flair's built all army, to be fair, and he's going Shiv just to do more burst.
4 levels up, though.
Yeah, I don't think Inori's going to win.
What?
Now he's overstaying. This is going to be really rough. Ease in. Yeah. Knockup's in. Onslaught of Shadows. Honor steals it. Why the heck not? If Inori was going to go ahead and do it much sooner and have his team actually distract the rest of them. But now just trying too hard to make it into the plays. There's the burst from Inox, even through Molten Shield. And now it's bot lane. That's the target. Mid was already exposed. Bot lane's going to be the same. 26 minutes in. Enemy Esports now going for the throat pretty early on in this game. A lot of turret kills went in early on. It was 5-4 in turrets for a short time for TSM Darkness, but now it's 5-7. Middle inhibitor is available for the pushing if they want it. Shorter Ace going to be the target now. Big ol' Ron knocked back. Arc second. Gonna maybe go down to Auto, but the Rend won't do enough damage. Big ol' Ron forced to run away, but enemy Esports still holding a 5-on-4. And mid inhibitor will fall shortly. Minions, but not super minions flooding into the base right now. And it means that enemy will back up here. Dragon is on the table if they want number 3 for themselves. And they'll play it a little bit more patiently.
A static Shiv for Flares.
I mean, he's just buying offense at this
I
point.
was like, what is he buying with that Zeal?
Shiv.
It's a static Shiv, okay. I mean...
Doesn't matter.
Hecarim likes items.
He's got a lot of gold.
All items are pretty much good on Hecarim.
And now he's going for either Warmogs or... I think that also builds into...
Righteous Glory.
Yeah. Indivisible, bye. Oh no, I take it back. Inox gonna get jumped back on Pops. The Zonia's Indivisible will live, but Flares says no thank you. Gets the kill picked up. Inox, what? He gets out and Flares now in the 1 versus 3. He's trying to get some damage down. By the way, you're not tanky, so Hecarim dies.
He's pretty tanky still, though. But not tanky enough.
All right, Inori. Slow, speed up. Q lands. Rens for a slow. Dragon 3 goes in.
He's got Playful Trickster now. The flash.
Body Drop didn't have to flash, by the way. It's his own base. That was an unnecessary flash by Body Drop.
He just walked.
Inox still has not died this game.
So I was watching that and I was like, where? Wait, is that his base? Is that the other guy's base? Because then I see Inox coming from the other side. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the red base you're in, Inori. I don't know why you're there, but you're on the other side of the map from your own.
Yeah. Still, the only kills that TSM Darkness have gotten all game are knocking down Flares. They got 2 quick camp kills. Got another one on a split push later on. They got that one for being over-aggressive. But enemy Esports really just not giving up anything.
And I mean, we heard Smoothly talking about how Trashy's scary. Enemy's still scary without him. He just makes them even better.
They are indeed. And it's worth pointing out, TSM Darkness, I feel like they're looking a little bit better as a team.
Yes.
Their early mid-game was fine. They actually out-turret killed enemy Esports. They kept the gold within 500 for the first 20-ish minutes, but...
Oh.
Yeah, Inox loses half his health from the first little bit of burst. Flares just takes him down cleanly.
Baton twirling on top of him. Poor Fizz.
Yeah, why not? Well, here we go. Inhibitor number 3 now under fire. Otter going to claim that one pretty easily. Janna Shield's help. Blast Whisper in the inventory now, just to make things even easier. And here we go. Inhibitor number 3. Minions coming in. Flares holding the bot side. These are the minions that will spell doom for TSM Darkness. 13,000 gold up. Turret number 1 under fire. Turret number 2 already injured. Inori's still dead. This is going to be the game. 30 minutes. And Esports going to 2-0, but first, the dive on in. Otter's QSS already down. Arc second tries to get some burst on in. He was 0-3-1, but it's Flares who's mopping up everybody. 3 kills picked up. Big ol' Ron and Inori back inside the base. 4 men still alive for enemy Esports, and that will be GG if they don't die to the Fountain Laser. Body Drop did, but you know what? It's okay. It's going to be the Nexus. 29-51. Enemy Esports 2-0 TSM Darkness. 7-1 now in the Challenger Series.
An enemy, even without Trashy, still have early game plays off of Shorter Ace, off of their laners, and even though Flares got camped, they were still in the driver's seat for a large portion of that game.
Yeah.
They were basically capitalizing off of a lot of mistakes of face-checking Brush and giving up ward control. They never gave up ward control. They kept having it. And even with a sub, that's very important because subs aren't always on the same page when it comes to what places do we like to ward, where are we going next. So the fact that they have that communication with somebody who's new to the roster is really good to see.
Yeah, so overall, very impressive game by Enemy Esports. 22-4, the overall kill score. Everyone went deathless except for FLICKR. Scumbag hacker room player. How dare you die to the 2-on-1 lane you were essentially in there.
He did have the most damage in the game, too.
Take it back. Body drop died as well. He wanted to join the club. He died to the fountain at the very end of the game. It wasn't a kill, just an execution all the same. Inox 6-0-11 on LeBlanc. Arc second, I said, all right, maybe try Zed, maybe try an individual playmaker. But Shorter Ace destroyed that poor fool.
Worst performance that Arc second has had in Challenger.
Oh, by far, yeah. First game with 4 deaths. First game with like a less than 4 KDA practically. But it really held him down. Inox and Shorter Ace, I think, probably the scariest mid lane, or just Inox and whatever jungler he's got. Probably the scariest mid laner in the North American Challenger Series. Body drop and Otter, probably the scariest duo lane as well. They beat their counter matchup hard.
Yeah.
And kept the lane pushed in. It was almost just easy for Enemy Esports to control the mid and bot side of the map. They did so very cleanly.
Yeah, and it was one of those things coming into today. It's like, is this going to be where we see Enemy kind of slumping? Because they don't have Trashy. They don't have that person who's making a lot of calls on the roster too. Yeah. But now, they still look like a first-place team in that game.
They do indeed. So, grats then to Enemy Esports, and our final game of the night now is in the books. Let's take a look at the updated Challenger standings. Once again, in first place is Enemy Esports at 7-1. They have clinched a top 2 finish in the standings now. They own the tiebreaker over TDK, so those guys can't touch them, really.
Yep, and in fourth, we have
TDK and Fusion tied at second, by the way.
Yeah, and in fourth, we have Final 5, and after that is CLG Black in fifth. Earlier, we incorrectly stated that CLG Black was eliminated, but they can still tie Final 5 for 4th place next week. Meanwhile, TSM Darkness is officially out of playoff contention.
They can, however, battle for 5th and have a better seed when they have to re-qualify in the summer split. We'll see if that can happen for TSM Darkness next week.
Yeah, next Wednesday is the final day of the spring regular season. First up, it's Enemy Esports against Final 5. Then CLG Black takes on TDK with TSM Darkness and Team Fusion finishing up the day.
It'll be a whole bunch of great matches, but there's more coming for esports, guys. Tomorrow, the European LCS kicks off Week 8 as Gambit Gaming faces off against Meteor Makers. Then Rocket battles the battles Fnatic overall, and then it's the Dog and Pony Show as the Copenhagen Wolves take on the Unicorns of Love. That all starts at 6 p.m. Central European Time and 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. That is an hour later than last week for all the U.S. folks. Now, thanks a lot, Farmers, for making that time a bit better for those guys who like to sleep in. And that's going to be all from us here on the Challenger Desk. I'd like to say thanks again to our guest, Smoothie from TDK. Thanks, man. And on behalf of myself, Zyrene, and the entire live broadcast crew, thanks for watching, and GG. You're not going to say bye? Just nothing? Bye.
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 We'll miss you. Arrivederci. Au revoir. Otter forced a flash out, pulls in Janna for some disengage, but it's a 5v4. Flares knocks in Arc second, 0-3-0. Looking for the 2-on-1 against Flares. The fear comes in. They do get the kill, but the re-engage by Enemy Esports. Do they want it? Indivisible. But first, the dive on in. Otter's QSS already down. Arc second tries to get some burst on in. He was 0-3-1, but it's Flares.
Yo, man, look at me, man. I got all the jewels. Look at my shoes, man. I'm sharp, man. I look good, I look good, I look exactly the way you wish you could. I look good, I look good. Come on. I'm in love with a girl that I call old school. Sipping on my brandy, I'm feeling brand new. Got the feather in my hat because I'm just that cool. You peeping at my alligators bent kinda slow. They peeping at me pimping cause I got all the game. And even if the day change, it's all the same. You rolling up the block, but you in the wrong lane. You hating on a brother, man, you must be insane. I look good, I look good, I look exactly the way you wish you could. I look good, I look good. Come on. I look good, I look good, I look exactly the way you wish you could. I look good, I look good. Come on. Joe said that I'm the best in the West. I got the girls saying, damn, look at how he dressed. No need to guess, just bless my finesse. I keep him in a mess, all up in this caress. Jeans, fitted, shirt, knitted. Man, she need to quit it. She already did it. She gotta be Latina cause she look mixed with it. She all up on me, so I guess she gonna get it. I look good, I look good, I look exactly the way you wish you could. I look good, I look good, come on. I look good, I look good, I look exactly the way you wish you could. I look good, I look good, come on. Right, come on. Right, come on. Right, come on. I look good, right.